Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
And the beat goes on. There will be another head coach for the Cleveland Browns as Kevin Stefanski has been let go. I'm sure by now you've heard the news. Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Busy day. Recap the Browns. Talk about Stefanski. Talk about Berry. Talk about Shedeur. What else is there, Mike? Anything?
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. A record.
Yeah.
It's in the books.
Well, we got such a busy show. Let's skip intros. Let's dive right into our first topic, guys. It's brought to us by FanDuel. Fridays feel different during the basketball season, and FanDuel is making them feel even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel is giving fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame prep, a limited-time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Little basketball, little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That is the NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So by now, guys, you've seen the news. As Jay mentioned, Kevin Stefanski is out as the Cleveland Browns head coach. He coached 101 games with the Browns, won 46 of them, and now they're looking for a new head coach. We'll get some opinions on candidates and the firing, but there were a few names that I did a little search, went to Sports Illustrated, went to NFL.com, ESPN, and at least compiled a list of offensive and defensive coordinators who may get some interest. None of these guys have been tied to the Browns yet, full disclosure, but just a list of names before we talk about some candidates, but some offensive coordinators who could get some interest for this job. Joe Brady, Clint Kubiak, Grant Udinsky, the Jacksonville OC, Davis Webb, who's the Denver Broncos quarterback coach, Matt Nagy, Cliff Kingsbury, and Josh Gizzard, some of the offensive coordinators, offensive coaches who could be an option for the Browns. On the defensive side of the football, you have Jesse Minter, Brian Flores, Jeff Hafley, Vance Joseph, Lou Anarumo, Anthony Campanelli, Jacksonville's DC, and Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And just a couple retread head coaches. If you want to go one more here, Steve, names to keep in mind: Mike McCarthy, Brian Daboll, Antonio Pierce, Mike Kafka. Those are the candidates in the coaching carousel this summer. But for now, guys, Kevin Stefanski's out, and those are the candidates. Bull.
Yes.
Are you surprised by the news this morning? And we know who you like out of that list.
No, how could anybody be surprised by the news? We expected it. I think overall in 6 years, Kevin Stefanski did a decent job as head coach, but arguably he did his worst job the last couple of years, and it was time to go. There's been too much losing, so in my opinion, you had to make a change. I think him ultimately, I know it's easier said than done, but I think he's in a rare position, unlike most of us, to stand up to his boss. I think his failure to stand up to his boss is my biggest criticism of him. The fact that he allowed Alex Van Pelt to be fired when he didn't really want that to happen, and a number of other things behind the scenes that he allowed Jimmy to push him on. I think the fact that he didn't communicate, he didn't help himself there, and just a general lack of discipline of the team, and just an out of control nature to me, and to some degree of the locker room. I thought it was time to go, and obviously Brian Flores, it has been my top choice all along, will remain my top choice. There's a couple of guys on that DC list. I also think Robert Saleh would be a good choice second time around. Don't like really most of those. Cliff Kingsbury, no thanks. What's his name? The other Matt Nagy. I mean, why would that guy get another crack? No thanks. And I don't like any of those retreads, but that's where I stand for now, guys.
Saleh was the runner-up to Kevin 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
And he went to a terrible situation also with the Jets.
He did.
I just like a young defensive coach that's on a second run.
What are we doing? Are we doing reaction to Kevin, or are we doing
both
candidates?
Both,
yeah, it's all tied into one, yeah.
Flores is my top guy as well, but I was thinking about it. The only, I think, hiccup with that is he runs a 3-4. So first of all, and I know, like, they chose Jim Schwartz over Flores for the DC spot because they felt like Schwartz's system was a better fit for Myles. And obviously with that 4-3, so you're not going if it's flow, Schwartz probably isn't going to be back. I don't see how.
No, he's not. He's not.
Well, I noticed on your
Nor should he be.
candidate list that Schwartz wasn't
I didn't include Reese
contender.
or Jim Schwartz
because he does have
already
odds
in-house,
placed
but
on him by
yes.
Vegas.
Oh, he'll get
as
it.
a
I would
replacement
imagine.
to-
I mean,
to
I
his-
don't know
to his
this.
job.
I would think he would get an interview.
Well, I mean, he's got a top 5 defense.
How do you not?
I don't
He's been
know
in the
how
building
you
for 2 years.
don't
Yeah, how do you
interview
not?
him either.
Yeah.
I don't. It seems like Myles has a little bit of pull, a little bit of gravitas right now. He certainly didn't give Kevin an endorsement Friday.
He did not.
And what happened? And
Well,
that
he
tells
knew.
me
He knew.
I think he did know, but I also think that for the first time, Myles might be realizing the power he has and the pull that he can leverage with the organization. And if he likes Jim Schwartz, and I'm not saying that he does or doesn't, but I do think just to leave Schwartz's name completely off the list of contenders would be a mistake. I think he's going to get an interview. As for the Stefanski firing,
I definitely think he's going to.
he's going to get an interview. I think for the Stefanski firing, I think we said 7 weeks ago, after a particularly awful loss, I said on the show the next Monday that he's gone. That's it. He's gone. And now, that doesn't mean I agree with the move. It just meant that I knew that Haslam had seen enough.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski will probably have a job by Wednesday, if he wants. If the team obviously can't move that quickly because of the Rooney Rule, you got to satisfy certain requirements. But he will likely be one of the first coaches hired in the new cycle. He's already being spoken of as the top candidate in Tennessee and with the Giants. That would be a very easy decision, by the way. So I do think he's going to resurface soon. I'm not surprised at all by the move. I fully expected that I said last week, by the time we hit the air Monday, we'll be talking about Kevin Stefanski's firing. I anticipated it. I think it's interesting. His parting gift to the Browns was putting them from the first overall pick to the, what are they, 6?
6, yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Cleveland. Bye-bye. So that's interesting.
There's your culture.
And,
There's 2
and
wins.
I believe, too, that Kevin knew he was dead man walking yesterday. How
Yes.
could he not? Everybody else did. And it was interesting to me. I saw more fire and energy out of him yesterday than I had at just about any other time during his time with the Browns.
Jay, I wrote Friday, after the show Friday, I shot down the facility just to do locker room and try and catch guys one last time. And I happened, because they were late, the Browns were later than usual, so I happened to catch Kevin's press conference, which because we're always doing the show. He was lighter and looser on Friday.
Because he knew.
And yet he still didn't say anything in these press conferences. You think he would finally say something?
Well, no, actually, what he said Friday I thought was very revealing about Njoku, because he said he didn't think I liked him when he first got here. I just told him the truth. And I thought, that's the best thing you've said in 6 years.
Yeah.
That's the most revealing thing you've said in 6 years.
You're right, it is.
I wish, I saw that press conference, and I really wish that he would have that same energy in years prior. Like, I really feel like the way he talked about the story with David Njoku, the way he characterized their relationship, I always felt like if Kevin Stefanski would have had those soft skills and used the media and was more had higher levels of communication, I think that he could have gotten through to more players, and I also think that it would have helped him out a lot. We want to hear things like that. I think those things that you hear with David Njoku is showing that he does have personality. He does have the ability to get the most out of people, because you look and say, okay, well, David Njoku wanted to be traded. He got the most out of him, right? He came back and he said to see David Njoku's growth is positive and is great. I think, and first and foremost, I'll just say this, man. I thank him for his contributions to what the Browns are. When he took over, they were 1-31. He delivered 2 good years where, the Flacco year was crazy. The Baker year during COVID, when he was the first year, that was crazy. He positively impacted a lot of the organization and we was the first dude to get him back to a place.
They did have Freddie between he and 1-31.
Yeah, but that turned out to be bad.
They
too.
were 6-10.
Yeah, but he delivered playoff runs.
He delivered,
and for what it's worth, they didn't go far, but that's more than you can say about anybody else that came before.
He turned
him.
an organization that most people didn't think could be turned around. You
Yes.
have to give him credit for that.
I'll give him credit for that.
Now, he couldn't maintain it.
Yeah, but I will say this.
He did it.
I think that I thought that this was going to be a thing. I thought it was inevitable, and I think it was generally the right move. At the time, we look at the offense and we look at. I think for me, when he gave up the playbook 2 times, I think that was that was a thing for me that was a little bit confusing, and I think that hurt him in the long run because he was brought here as the offensive guy and he was the leader of the offense. So I think that weighed a little bit heavily. But in general, I expected this to happen. I think a lot of people expected it to happen throughout the year. And so we'll see what the coach search gives up and figures out in the next couple of days. I'm sure we'll have a bunch of talks about all these coordinators and different things like that coming up. But I want to first and foremost say I don't really ever do no victory laps on people losing their jobs. At the end of the day, he's a human being, got kids going in and out of school. And I do believe that if he does work on some of the things that he had mistakes here, I think he can incorporate that into his next role. And hopefully he can be successful wherever he lands.
What's interesting is in the last couple of years, we've seen coaching rebounds in Denver with Sean Payton. Because quite frankly, I thought the dim on his star was there were questions about Sean Payton.
I was one of them.
Yeah, and I was too. I constantly said he needs his genius credentials renewed. He's done that.
Yeah.
And he's done that because he had the rookie quarterback. He had the young quarterback in place. He won 8 games with a player that really wasn't even. We know what Russell Wilson has become. He released Russell. They had this huge cap hit, and everybody thought they're in cap hell forever. They'll never be good. Right now, they're sitting as the number 1 seed.
They found the quarterback.
He found the quarterback. Then you look at what happened in New England over the course of 1 year. You had a rebound head coach in Mike Vrabel come in and take a quarterback that was in place already, and where are they? Well, they have the top seed.
They found their quarterback.
So you got 1 and 2 seeds in the East. And they're both in similar situations. 2 or 3 years ago, they were awful.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see a light through the tunnel. Now you get the right coach, you get the right quarterback. So now here is the ultimate question. And this has to happen for a turnaround to happen in Cleveland. He doesn't have a coach in place. He doesn't have a quarterback in place, Jimmy Haslam. Does anybody think, given his track record, that he's going to, in short order, get the quarterback and the coach? And that's where...
I mean, it's hard to believe he's going to get them both right, but...
If you go on past track record... Now, I found it interesting. He said, well, we do have experience at this.
Yeah.
You do, and your track record sucks.
It hasn't helped you get better to
It
this
hasn't.
point.
And here's a fascinating thought, guys. When you start thinking, like, patterns. What has Jimmy always done? He's always gone for the hot coordinator. Has it worked? Nope. But what did he do in Milwaukee? What's he done?
Kevin Stefanski wasn't the hot coordinator. Nobody else was.
Kevin Stefanski was a hot coordinator.
No, he wasn't. He really wasn't.
He was well thought of in Minnesota.
He was well thought of in
He'd
Minnesota.
only been an offensive coordinator for 1 year.
Let me clarify. Has he ever brought in a head coach that's ever had any coaching experience? No.
Yes.
He's always gone.
Yes. Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson. How'd he work out?
Badly.
Okay.
But you asked the question, does he have coaching experience?
If you look at the 5 coaches he's hired, 4 of them were, who is this guy? Literally.
Right.
Patton, Chud,
right.
Kitchens. Like, it was all like way off the radar guys. What's interesting to me is when he just hired a coach in Milwaukee. Well, when he hired his first coach in Milwaukee, what did he decide to do?
Went off the radar, right?
No.
He
went Doc Rivers.
Well, they had a guy for 30 games beforehand.
Right.
Was he part of that hire and then the switch?
I don't think he was the primary owner at that point. I think Doc Rivers was. So the reason I bring it up is because perhaps he's realized, you know what, these low wattage offensive defensive coordinators that really they have no track record. They certainly haven't done it for me. So in Milwaukee, he goes with a guy that has a proven track record, a long history as a coach, won a championship. And I just wonder now, as he's doing this mental gymnastics in his mind, is it a Mike McCarthy who's won a championship? Is it a Brian Flores who's been a head coach? Like, I think this time he might actually insist that it's somebody that has previous head coaching experience.
It's Flores, whoever, I would like
Schwartz
I would like to see Schwartz fits this as well. Someone who this is their second go around.
I would agree.
Because
I don't want a newcomer.
Clint Kubiak is hysterical to me because that's Stefanski Jr. Like, Clint and Kevin are one and the same.
Yeah.
But you need a guy who, at least for me, had the opportunity to learn, make mistakes.
Right.
Now learn from those mistakes and implement them.
I agree.
And going back to what Garrett said about Kevin, I think one of the biggest things he needs to learn, especially if he goes to New York, is you got to talk. I wrote about that a couple weeks ago.
God.
If you
In
don't,
New York.
Oh, New York will make them talk.
if you don't talk, we talk for you.
That's right.
And look what you get.
That's
look what
right.
happened this year.
No, that's
because he refused to open his mouth and talk. This is what you get.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you said about standing up, but that's really not his personality. Like, he's not a fiery guy who's going to get in guys'
But
faces.
he should have done it behind the scenes. He could have done it behind the scenes.
But that's just not his personality.
Yeah, all right.
No,
He
but
needs-
Jay, I agree with Bull. You do have to fight for yourself. You do have to pick your battles. You don't do it on everything.
Firing Alex Van Pelt was the beginning of the end. And
I agree.
I'm not saying AVP was the linchpin of this whole thing. It's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But that started this downward slide because they won 11 games. They go to the playoffs, and they fire the OC. And we're sitting here going, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense.
And to Bull's point also, we've all seen this either in our own work environments or in other situations in pro sports. When the power is usurped from the head coach, everybody in the building knows that. They weren't walking around the building in Berea going, hey, what happened to Van Pelt? They knew. Inside the building, they all knew. And when all the other assistant coaches see that happen, it's obvious that dad isn't really the dad. Grandpa's the dad.
Yeah,
and there's not a lot of jobs where the employee has the hammer. And Stefanski, in my mind, did because if Jimmy fired him, he still gets paid his millions and millions of dollars. So, most of us in life, we don't have the hammer as employees.
I agree.
But he did. And so,
Yeah,
anyway.
I know he's not a fiery guy, but sometimes you got to pick your spots. You got to stand up for yourself, take a stand up for what you believe in. And when he didn't, I think all of the other assistant coaches in the room had to look at him and say, wow, this dude sold out a friend and a guy who was good at his job because his boss told him to. And you just look at boss differently after something like that happens.
Well, I think you look at boss. Are you talking Kevin or Jimmy? Because people look at Jimmy
and,
differently.
They look at Jimmy differently too.
Every day.
Like, stay home, let him do the job.
But they know. When you walk into Berea, you know what you're getting into.
They all know.
It's not a secret.
No.
So for Jimmy to stand there today and say, to push back against the term dysfunctional, well, would you call this team functional?
Yeah, you're one or the other. There's no real gray area between the two.
You're functional or you're dysfunctional. Which is it?
You're not kind of functional. You are dysfunctional. And if you don't think you're dysfunctional, take a look at your record.
Now, I do.
That is dysfunctional to think you're not dysfunctional.
You're right, Bull. It's burying your head in the sand. And what's step one of recovery? Admission.
Admitting you got something, you do something wrong.
He can't admit.
I think he's sensitive to the fact that, like, what he was trying to say, Kevin and AB were still. They didn't split. They didn't turn on each other, and they've had so many people in that building turn on each other over the years. I think he was trying to make the point that did not happen here. But to say that this is not a dysfunctional organization is grossly inaccurate. They are.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Don't prove it otherwise.
Yeah.
Before we move on real quick, G, you didn't mention any possible candidates that you like, whether they be on that list or not. Would Schwartz be your number one guy to replace Kevin Stefanski? We'll dive more into depth as we understand and learn more about this. But right now, instant reaction, who's your top picks to replace Kevin Stefanski?
Listen, I like Flores. I've liked that name for a long time. I think he's innovative when it comes to defense. I like the pressure packages that he brings. Like, he's a dude. The thing I like about Flores is he's not gonna play no games. Like, I like the fact that he's gonna hold people accountable. There's a lot of things that people and players we're gonna have to respect because he's a guy that's gonna come in and he's gonna swing the hammer. Now, if I get Brian Flores, I need to have me an innovative offensive coordinator.
Yes, you do.
I need to have somebody, and what I mean is I need somebody to be the opposite of what Jim Schwartz was here with Kevin Stefanski. Mm-hmm. I need to get somebody that is innovative, that is crisp, that wants to bring something different to the table, and I'm going to give him that offensive reign. Yep. Also, Brian Flores, I do believe that he has to learn in some of the same cases that Kevin Stefanski learned from. The situation with him and Tua got crazy, and I think he needs to learn how to communicate with quarterbacks and figure out how he needs to be a leader. And I think Aditi said something that was important.
She told us last week that he has learned from that.
Mike Talman said, "Hey man, you got to have a relationship and establish relationships with everybody. Not just the defense, not just the guys over there, both sides of the football." So hopefully those are things that he learned coming into his next one. But Jim Schwartz, I think he's going to get an interview. I think Schwartz is a guy who's been in the system. He's been in the building. He's done a good job with the defense. Obviously, Myles Garrett is a guy that likes what Schwartz is doing because he puts Myles Garrett in positions to make plays. Denzel Ward obviously has been his best under Jim Schwartz. Carson Schlesinger has been, I mean, when you got guys, I thought Mason Graham out of all the young guys, I thought Mason Graham, even last game against the Bengals, he showed up big time with two tackles for loss and doing things. So if you got young, Grant Delpit had a great year. So if you got guys on the defensive side of the football and they already performing and you know they perform and respect them, there's no choice but you got to have that guy to be in there. And by the way, I would not be surprised if Tommy Rees gets an interview. Now, people say that's a little too far. He was just half a little coordinator. But I do think Tommy Rees, the way that they felt about him, I think it'll still be high. And he may get an opportunity. The only reason I say that is because I just look at what Haslam did before with Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens was here half a year, and they gave him, and then Freddie Kitchens actually, it was almost the same situation with Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens. Greg Williams was a defensive veteran coach that did some things. He was an intern coach. They gave him an interview. He didn't get it. They gave it to Freddie Kitchens. Not saying that this is the same thing.
The difference between those two?
Yes.
Just like
Nick Saban
Pluto
endorses Tommy Rees.
Mercury.
And when I called Bill Parcells about Freddie Kitchens, he would not talk to me.
yeah, that tells you all you need to do.
Nobody was
Mike, I
endorsing
know you want to
Freddie.
turn to the GM, and we have, and we need to. But I have two quick questions for Jason.
Yeah, no, hey, we're in no
we
rush.
haven't addressed. Okay,
No rush.
Two. One's a statement. One's a question. My statement is the Browns are great on defense. So if you're just an outsider and you're looking at things, you're saying, well, I don't know why you would make Schwartz or Flores the head coach. The defense is sound. Obviously, the offense is busted and near the bottom of the league. In some categories, they are 32nd in the league. So I think conventional wisdom there would say it has to be an offensive-minded person, because I agree with you. You'd have to bring in a guru as an OC, but you're also kind of neutering him and his power if a defensive guy gets the head coaching job. That's just a statement that I wanted to make. A question that I have for you that we haven't really touched on, and this is the functionality of what happens when a head coach gets fired. Typically, the assistant coaches are informed as to whether or not they will be back.
Yeah.
So Tommy Rees, I imagine these conversations are happening right now in Berea, or maybe they've already happened. I don't know. But these coordinators and coaches are being informed as to whether or not they'll be back. Obviously, if Jim Schwartz is interviewed and doesn't get the job, he's not coming back as the defensive coordinator, I don't think.
Depends on who the head coach is.
I guess it does. This is someone that he can work with. But typically, when a coordinator interviews for the job and doesn't get it, he's not back. Because automatically you're telling your number one, your number two choice is going to be breathing down your neck.
There are options. There's been plenty of times where a head coach, like they'll probably keep these guys on staff until the head coach is named, and then it's up to the coach to decide if he wants to keep any of these guys or cut them loose and bring in his own guys.
Right.
And generally speaking, usually there's a couple guys that you would keep. So it really would. Now, if it's Flores, no, I don't think Flores and Schwartz. No. That's not going to. That's not a match.
No.
It's not a schematic match. It's two really big names of personality.
But Tommy Rees is possible.
For sure.
If Flores gets the job,
and if Jimmy likes Rees as much as
it shouldn't be forced on him.
No, of course not. It won't be forced. But if Jimmy likes Tommy Rees as much as I tend to think that he does, he'll be kind of encouraged, hey, we like him, take a look at him. Ultimately, it's your decision, but at least take a look at him.
In general,
what
has the tradition, what has the pattern been for new head coaches picking their entire staffs? Have they had guys forced on them, or are they filling out their staffs their own?
I think head coaches have to have the leeway to pick their own staffs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
A lot of coaches have guys that go with them to every stop.
Right.
And they want those guys with them. They trust them.
Sure.
Trust is a huge thing in these spots.
No kidding.
So you got to have guys that have your best interest at heart and have the team's and aren't out for their own self-interest.
Right.
So I mean, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion Jim Schwartz is not going to be back as a DC. I think you got to wait and see who the head coach is and see if it's a match.
Yeah.
Especially if it was a younger offensive coach.
Yeah. I mean, a Kubiak, for example.
Right,
you would want Schwartz here as
I don't
that
think
veteran voice.
To me, the fact that the defense is good and the offense is not is irrelevant as to who you hire as the head coach, because you shouldn't hire the head coach based on who's the most creative play caller. You should hire the head coach.
No, but
who's the best
it's like a
leader
team
of
addressing their strengths in the draft.
Well, but
our strength is defense.
No, but okay, fine, but you don't have a coach. You need a coach who's a leader of men.
Yeah,
and if the best candidate is a defensive coach, then you go that way.
This is not a locker room high on strong leadership.
No,
so you need. I wrote this last night. You might need a guy who will get in guys' face. Again, the Flores thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep mentioning just that name. It's very fascinating to me. It's an intriguing option. The lawsuit that he has against the NFL will hurt him in almost any head coaching position, because how can an owner trust him? He just went to court and spilled all the secrets of private conversation.
Which is never done.
Jimmy might be the one owner.
I'm telling you.
Who doesn't want that to happen.
No, he don't
He
care.
don't care about
Oh,
that.
really?
He's the one owner who might say he's so desperate to win. Like he took Deshaun. You don't care.
Yeah.
If you can help my team win.
Well, if he comes here and it doesn't work out, we might finally find out the real.
By the way, I got the entire coaching staff for you, what I would do if I were the Browns, without knowing these guys personally.
Let's just, for fun, who's the head coach? Who's it going to be?
Who's it going to be, or who would I hire?
No, not who.
I mean,
if you want to give both, you can give both.
Yeah,
by the way, my answers are different too. Who will it be? Who should it be?
See, this is going to get clipped, and I get nailed way worse than anybody else up here for everything I say. Gets trotted out 15 years later. You remember when you said? I'm actually going to say Jim Schwartz.
It will be. Or it should
but this is my opinion. This is not me reporting anything. This is not any source.
No,
this is 2.5 hours after Kevin got fired. I tend to think it might be Schwartz because for the continuity factor.
Yeah.
For the keep the deep, and it's a known quantity. It'll keep Myles happy. There's just a lot of reasons why. But this is also Andrew. Andrew came second last time. He's never had the ability to run his own coach search.
Right.
So he may very well want to go out and prove
get his guy
how smart he is at this. but as we sit here right now, my guess, it's just a guess. There's no background information on this whatsoever. For the comfort, for the stability, for the known quantity factor, I will say Schwartz.
Okay. Before you say this, Bull, I don't know what got me thinking about this. It just popped in my head. Like I see the search go like this. I think they in there looking around. They doing interviews. He comes in and say, hey, shout out to you guys. Thanks for being interested in the job. Before we get anything started, I got 3 tapes right here on the table. One of them is Dylan Gabriel tape. One is Shedeur Sanders tape. And one is Deshaun Watson's tape. Watch this film, and then we'll start the interview when we come back.
There may not be anybody left in the room when you come back.
So that's the point. Think about it. That's the point.
That's what your cupboard has.
That's what the cupboard has right now.
Right now, yeah. There will be another name in the mix.
So the conversation is, okay, well, what do you think about it? And depending on what they come back with, who knows if they get the rest of the interview or they don't get the other interview.
Well, it will be a question for sure.
They can say something. They can say, I love it, and it'll be the wrong answer. They can say, I hate it, and it could be the wrong answer.
Yeah.
They could pick the wrong guy. I don't know. I think that's a big part of it.
Again, it's when you're owner, you're hiring someone that knows way more about it than you do. And it's best that you understand that. And Jimmy doesn't understand that.
Is Andrew running a search?
He is. But do you think for 1 second...
This is his choice?
Here's the way it's going to work. Correct me if I'm wrong. Andrew's going to come to Jimmy with a name. Jimmy's got veto power. If Jimmy doesn't want that name, that guy's not the head coach.
But it won't get to that point because JW will be on the search committee.
Oh, geez. Now we got another layer.
Jimmy's not smart enough to know what he doesn't know.
No, and that was really my point with Haslam. So Haslam may ask the coaches, I want reports on what you think of all 3 of our quarterbacks this year. And you said they might say the wrong answer. The wrong answer is one that Jimmy doesn't agree with, which likely is the right answer.
I wish maybe there will come a day sooner than later where we can sit down and I can tell you guys all of the stories I've heard.
God, I wish we could
about
right
head
now.
coach interview candidates and like how things have gone with interviews.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I've been told that goes on. Now I do think they've gotten better at it. This is years ago when it's legendary. Like some stuff with Ken Wisenhunt, some stuff with Brian Flores that I was told was just, it's mind-boggling.
Listen, I can believe all of it.
Yeah.
Bull,
I don't know who
should
I
it
mean,
be?
I don't. To me,
I know you think it should be Flores.
To me, I would hire Brian Flores to be my head coach. I'd hire Mike McDaniel to be my offensive coordinator. Although I don't know that he's getting fired, but I think he should get fired. Is he getting fired?
We haven't heard
yet. Pete Carroll just got fired. Mike McDaniel as of 11.
All right. Well, if Mike McDaniel gets fired, I have hire as my OC. I hire our guy DeQuell Jackson to learn under Brian Flores to become the eventual DC, and I bring back former Browns special teams coach Chris Tabor. I don't even know where he is these days, but I bring him back to be the special teams coach.
So that's who you should. Who will it be? You believe it should be Schwartz.
I don't think they'll hire Flores. They'll probably get it wrong. They'll probably hire like Mike McCarthy, who's exactly who they don't need.
I'm thinking Mike McCarthy too.
I don't think. Yeah,
I just think isn't that what he did with the Bucks?
But
isn't that the same guy?
If Barry's leading this,
he's not going to want Mike
This
McCarthy.
is going to be an analytical hire.
Yeah,
It's going to be a guy who's high on analytics. That is not Mike McCarthy.
I guess you're right.
Well, the one thing
I'm not sure it is
the
Schwartz.
one thing though that
Frankly,
analytics
Schwartz.
but the one thing that
Probably not.
analytics will have an NA next to is previous NFL head coaching experience. Like you won't have any analytics on that for all of the candidates that have never done it.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, can I
So you're
revise my
projecting.
answer?
Yeah, sure, you can revise.
I would like it. I'm not predicting who it's going. I have no idea who it's going to be.
No, I know, it's
have
a
no
guess.
idea.
Go ahead.
I'm still going to stick with Schwartz for the continuity and everything, but I don't want to make it sound like I think that's who they're going to hire because I already know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
Right now I would like Schwartz or Flores. I'm just not sure Flores
I am
fits
with
them because
you.
of Miles.
Number one for me is Schwartz, and also because I think it's more likely than Flores because of the baggage with the NFL.
Yeah.
So I think what I would like to see is continuity on defense. I think you keep Myles Garrett happy, keep the defense good. And I'm not saying that this is a co-head coaching deal. I'm not. But what I would say to Schwartz as I hire him is you are to remain the defensive coordinator. You're going to be the head coach. You'll break all ties. But my offensive guy that comes in is going to be in charge of the offense. So if he thinks you go for it on 4th and 1, we're going for it on 4th and 1. And I know that sounds like a co-head coaching situation, and I know that's outside the paradigm thinking, but why not? Nothing else we've done has worked. So that's what I would like to see. But I don't have much faith that they'll get that right, and I think they'll go with Mike McCarthy.
I think it'll be a first-time,
By the way,
young coordinator with an analytics background.
Jim Schwartz is going to turn 60 years old before next season.
I don't think that's
Do
a
we
bad
want a
thing.
60-year-old
I don't
head
think
coach?
that's a bad
That's
thing.
not-
Yeah, I don't think that's too old.
I don't love it. I don't love it.
Gee, who will it be? Who should it be?
Oh boy, this is tough, man. I think I wouldn't. You sold me on the Schwartz thing. I think that if you talk about Jim Schwartz and you look at it, it makes sense from a standpoint of okay, there's continuity, the defense is there, and then you could actually move and dip and do some other things to get the offense squared away.
Right.
However, I don't think they'll do it. And the reason because is continuity is great, but I think that Jimmy needs really. He needs a change. How much of it is a change, truly, if you still got say Jim Schwartz is in, he says, hey, I like what Tommy Reese was doing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the head coach. Tommy Reese stays as a coordinator, and you're like, well, is that really a change? You had two of the same guys into the building.
Gee, if a smart manager, because every business has divisions, if a smart CEO comes into a company and there's sales and production, and production is killing it, but sales is not. The smart move is I need a new sales manager. I don't want to mess with production. Production's cranking out product at a quality level and a quantity level. Our defense is production.
It is.
And our head coach is sales. So I could make the similar analogy with businesses that you guys could probably think of. You know, like, look, the production
It sounds awfully familiar.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to, but the production.
JB talking about?
The production
guy.
is there, and you can see it. It's tangible. That's the defense. But the results end of it, you know, the sales part of it, you're looking at it going, wait a minute, 2 + 2 isn't adding up to 4 here. Why? I'm not going to mess with the production end of it. You guys
agree.
figured it out. I'm going to
analogy.
fix the sales piece.
But I don't. If I say Flores, right? If you do have Brian Flores, I don't think Jim Schwartz is bad.
I don't either. I think we all agree with that because they're two alpha dogs. They're the same guy.
And they don't run the same scheme.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, and you've got two. It's kind of like when you remember when Greg Williams was the offensive coordinator, and everybody defensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator was Todd Haley. And these guys were almost throwing hands. So I don't think you can have two personalities like that in the same room.
Now, if you ask me, I would say who they probably would hire, and I would be great with this, because I do think sometimes you need to shake up, even though Schwartz is doing his thing on that outside of football. I love Brian Flores as an innovator. I'll go with Flores as a head coach.
Okay.
And I'm agreeing with a lot of what Bull is saying today. This is a strange word. I think Mike McDaniel would be, I think that's a home run as a
He'd
coordinator.
be good as an OC. I don't want him as my head coach.
Definitely not.
So he'd have to be willing to take a step back.
Yeah, but I also think about this. This is the hire that I think is most important. Your most important hire is going back and digging up where the heck is Bill Callahan. He must at all costs be on this staff.
He won't. Unless you would have to so woefully overpay him for his position, which Jimmy will do.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'll do it.
Bill was here because of the people who were here. And those people are no longer going to be here.
The relationships that he has.
Listen, Andrew, find a way. I'm going to tell you, if you draft an offensive lineman and you're drafting young offensive linemen and that's what you need, that's where the Cleveland Browns, they must get him back and then rotate this
I agree
thing
with
out.
that, too. I also agree with Jason. It won't happen. So Black Monday, there's usually anywhere from 5 to 7. There's been fewer. There's been more.
Far.
There's only 2. Of the 2 jobs that are open, you're a head coaching candidate. Do you like the Raiders, who now currently occupy the number 1 draft pick, or do you like the Browns?
Well, again.
Isn't the Giant? Wait.
Giants isn't open yet, right?
No, they fired their coach mid-season. There was 2 firings.
Yeah, but
Daboll
if
was
the
fired.
have they said that the interim?
They're
out.
He's out. Yeah.
So what other head coach? Am I missing
So
any?
there's
It's
the
just
Giants
3.
and
Titans.
Giants and Titans,
Titans?
and
There's
Raiders.
4 current open.
Of the
4
4
openings. Is
Giants,
anybody else
Titans,
getting
Raiders,
fired? The
Browns.
Bengals stupidly not firing their coach.
Are the Jets going to
Jets are not firing their coach.
Really?
They said they're
It's
keeping
been 1
Lloyd, yeah.
year.
I know, but it's just 1 year in New England, too.
They're really bad.
I mean, here's
But
the thing with
New England had a quarterback.
I know, but the eye test is you look at it. They didn't have an interception all year. That's one of many stats that will roll your eyes back in your
I
head
just
if you're a
think
Jets
Oh, I
fan.
lied. The Falcons also fired.
Oh,
Raheem.
Falcons
yeah, that's
fired
right.
their
Yep,
coach.
yep,
That's
that's
right.
right.
After knocking the Buccaneers out of the playoffs.
So of the 5, which job is best?
I think the Giants' job.
I do too. I don't even think it's close.
But it comes down, first of all, it comes down to how you feel about the quarterback. That's it.
Yeah.
And ownership and structure, all that matters. If you like Cam Ward better, then I guess you go to Tennessee. I like the infrastructure of New York much better than Tennessee.
Yeah, the ownership situation in Tennessee
But
is similar to what it is here.
If you like Cam Ward better, then you probably have to take that job based on the quarterback. What's interesting is...
But if you take the Raiders job, you can have your pick of
then you
Mendoza
get
or Moore
Mendoza.
this year.
I think the Browns is the worst of the 5 to me.
Bull, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think
Here's
you're
What
wrong.
5 winners out there?
The Giants, the Titans, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Browns.
Here's why I'll say the Browns.
At least if you're the Raiders,
The other teams, here's what I'll say. The Raiders, at least you have the first pick.
that's the thing.
Right, so you get to pick your quarterback.
Yep.
The Titans, if you don't like Cam Ward, then they're just as bad as the Browns.
You're right, I
If you
agree.
like Cam Ward, it's fine. The Falcons, their quarterback situation, but I would argue that Arthur Blank's the best owner to work for of the 5 teams.
I would agree with that.
Yep.
Maybe with the Giants.
Giants
but
are right
the
there with
Giants, you got a decent owner, and you got a quarterback that you may like. Where as the Browns, you got a terrible owner. I know some people like Shedeur, but my guess is most coaches don't want him to
He
be
will
the
be
starter.
a huge hindrance for a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
And so you don't have either of those things that the other teams do have.
But I will say you got 2 first-round picks. You got a stellar defense.
But one's a 6 and one is a 20. to be
I mean, 6
determined.
isn't terrible,
See,
but
I mean,
No, it's not terrible,
2
but
first-round
you
picks.
can't pick your quarterback.
I mean, that's part of the game. You got 2 first-round picks. You got the dude who broke the sack record. You got Denzel Ward. You got Sweat. You got some young pieces and parts in 2
Right,
first-round
but other
picks.
teams have those young pieces
I'd
and parts too.
I'd go Giants,
Yeah.
Falcons, because I love Bijan and I love the owner. I'd go Raiders because you have the number 1 pick. I'd go.
You don't like Cam Ward, obviously.
No, I don't. But that doesn't mean that if somebody else comes in, they might like him. But after that, I do think that I forgot the Browns last.
Yeah.
Got the Browns.
All right, well, the Browns, we know, fired Kevin Stefanski. They're keeping Andrew Berry. We're going to dive into that decision. We won't dive into a bunch of game reaction because there's so much happening today. But if you want to hear our post-game show from yesterday where we did dive into some of the game reaction stuff, you can find our 2-minute warning post-game show on the YouTube page. It is up. It was the last one of the season. We dove into more game specifics, including the game-winning drive by Shedeur Sanders and company. So that's on our YouTube page. All right, guys, speaking of Andrew Berry, he is sticking around. Jimmy Haslam announced that he will be leading the head coaching search for the Browns after they let go of Kevin Stefanski this morning. We talked about those two in tandem, Stefanski and Berry. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But, Bull, I know you vehemently disagree with the Browns
I do, but
decision.
I went first on the other thing, Mike. I think I should pass the first salvo to somebody else.
Sure.
No?
Jay, do you want to go first? Should they have kept Andrew Berry or not?
Yes. I do believe they should have kept Andrew Berry. I think that my theory is not widely accepted by any of this panel, although I've had conversations with other people that are in the know that say I am absolutely onto something, but there's no proof of it. So again, I'm operating off this premise. Paul DePodesta was the organizational guru. He broke ties. He set the direction. It was his ball club. And I do think that after watching enough years of that not leading to any success, I believe that Jimmy last offseason said, let's try something a little different. I'm going to take some of the draft room power away from Paul DePodesta and give it to Andrew Berry. Two things happened after that. And again, this is all theory. Two things in theory happened after that. DePodesta looked at the draft class and saw the early and great results and said, I got to get the hell out of town. They figured me out. Went back to baseball. In the meantime, Stefanski looked at what Berry did with this draft. That's why Berry's here. If Berry missed on this draft, he is gone. He's here for one reason and one reason only. He finally got the draft, or the Browns finally got the draft right. If you think, as the owner, that this was the first draft that Berry had the steering wheel in his hand and he didn't run it into a brick wall, instead he put it on a super highway, I think you give him more power, or at least another opportunity to repeat what he's done. I think it's a short leash. I think if he has a clunker class next year, it could very well be that he's out soon.
Well,
that's a disaster.
And that's the problem.
It's a disaster because now you got a coach who wasn't hired by the general manager.
And on and on and
but
on.
But isn't that what the Browns have done?
Well, and Jimmy defended Andrew this morning by saying what you said. He pointed out the draft class. He pointed out the trade down from 2 to 5, which that was a phenomenal trade.
It was.
Full credit to Andrew. I know you and I went back and forth on it. I think it was a sensational trade. I thought they got tremendous value for moving down 3 spots when there wasn't even a quarterback involved. The other team wasn't even coming up to get a quarterback as a receiver. You never get that type of value. It was a tremendous trade. Full credit to him for it. Tyson Campbell was a good trade. That was a good pickup midseason. It was odd to do it at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night, but ultimately it was a good trade. When you talk about the draft class, I mean, he got a running back, a linebacker, a tight end, and a defensive tackle. That's what we're talking about here.
All of them were starters at one point in the year.
Okay, great. But it's a running back, a linebacker, a tight end, and a defensive tackle.
True.
We aren't talking receiver, quarterback, and
he didn't address the
and
needs.
left tackle. So there are still glaring needs on this team, and only in Cleveland, can you be the general manager on the worst trade in the history of professional sports and get a promotion out of it.
No,
well
right.
done.
No, yeah, you're right
Well
about
done.
that.
Did he officially get a promotion?
Yeah, he's got more responsibilities. He's taking some of the role. There is a lot of noise. I've told you, a little couple of you guys, there's a lot of noise the last week or two about what the Browns were. It was always pretty steady that Kevin was going to be out. But Andrew's role, I kept hearing different things on how it was going to go. And then the way that it went was basically he stayed in control of the 53 and adding more responsibilities. I mean, I don't know how you pull that off, that you are the general manager of the worst trade in the history of professional sports. You get the other guy fired, and you get a promotion out of it. I shouldn't say he got the other guy fired.
I think the only way...
But the other guy gets fired.
Right, yeah. I think the only way you pull that off...
You get a promotion.
...is if the guy that's making the decision knows that he really was the driving force behind the worst trade in football history.
I wholeheartedly believe, we've talked about this at length, at the end, Jimmy was the only one who wanted to guarantee the whole contract.
Yes.
However,
and that's what makes it, by the way, the worst trade in history.
But I don't believe this was Jimmy's idea.
No, and that's okay.
The Deshaun trade was not his idea.
Both things can be true, though.
I mean, but
I think
are you going to believe
Andrew Berry started it.
I mean, he said it.
But the problem with the problem with the trade was this: it was the guarantee. Everybody in football looked at it and said, What are you doing?
Oh, that wasn't the problem with the
Yes,
trade.
it was. It had never been done.
Jay, that was not the problem with the trade.
$230 million guaranteed.
So if they had
was $100 million guaranteed,
it would never have been.
They've already moved
Jay,
on from it.
It would never have been $100 million. That's not realistic.
Whatever it would have been.
It would have been $200 million.
This is what we know. Okay, that's $30 million less.
The problem with the trade is he sucked, and you gave up draft picks.
Yes.
The guaranteed money is a smaller part of it.
And the owner said, "Let's guarantee the whole shooting match." It had never been done.
So they would have
And by the
guaranteed
way,
180 instead of 250. It wouldn't have. It would still been bad.
Am I right in saying this? It's still the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history.
Nobody's arguing that.
If he would have been good, would it be worth it? If he was good,
yes.
I'm just saying, if
I cure cancer, I'm famous.
I mean, we just saying, if we talk about the money, if they paid him the money. And
Let me answer your question. I'll answer that question.
Yes.
If the Browns won a Super Bowl, yeah, absolutely worth it, 100%. Because there have been trades for a lot less that have led to Super Bowls.
How about if they just won a playoff game?
Get me into a playoff. Get me into a Super Bowl.
Just win a playoff game with them.
I think the overall thing here is I think Jimmy knows, and he's giving Andrew some slack. I pushed hard on the Deshaun Watson thing. His hands were tied in a lot of our drafts. I gave him a chance to get the draft right. He nailed it.
But
I
Jay,
can't let this guy go.
As Jason said, it was Andrew Berry's idea at first to trade for him, which all but you liked the trade at the time. But still, he's the guy making the decision.
Yeah,
he has more access to information than we do. It was his idea.
Jimmy knows what the truth is.
You have to be accountable for your decisions.
Yeah.
And it was his. I've said it 100 times. He was doing work on Deshaun in Philly that year that he was in Philly.
To answer your question, how does this happen? Like a general manager makes the worst trade in NFL history and gets a promotion. I think your answer is my answer. How did that happen? He nailed it this year. He nailed it.
He did. They had a very, very good draft.
And that's why he's still here.
Unfortunately, it's not at premier positions.
No,
so
the problem was it didn't address the true needs of the team.
Well, there was needs all over the team.
I know there were, but now the whack-a-moles are on the offensive line and wide receiver.
And this goes back to the point I was trying to make early in the season. I got sick of saying it. I'm sure you guys got sick of hearing it, so I stopped saying it. But it's still 100% true. You knew how bad this offense was last year. You knew how atrocious it was. What was their solution? Sign 2 bottom-barrel veteran quarterbacks, trade down from 2 to 5, which it was a great trade, but it did nothing to address the offense.
Right.
And then they spent their top 2 picks on defensive players. What did you think was going to change with the offense?
The defense got better and the offense got a lot worse.
So here's the thing. I've been saying this for 4 or 5 months. I've been talking. If you listen, I've been saying. I said, listen, these guys are not in lockstep. People looked at me like I was crazy when I said that. I'm like, what you mean? I said, no, they're in lockstep like that. There's a power struggle in Cleveland, and the power struggle went a little bit like this. When you look at it, the thing that we can't run away from is this, and I get it. Kevin Stefanski has done some nice things, but also we got to stop acting like Kevin Stefanski. He don't got no marks on his report card. He didn't have.
Nobody's acting like that.
Well, first of all, can I speak?
Yeah, but okay, I'm saying, but that's.
You gonna cut me off from?
All right, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. So, Kevin Stefanski had Baker Mayfield here. His relationship with Baker Mayfield was not good. Kevin Stefanski had Deshaun Watson. His relationship with Deshaun Watson and the production was not good. Kevin Stefanski has been here multiple years, and he's the head of the offense. So I get that everybody saw about the Deshaun Watson thing and everything, but Kevin Stefanski has to also own parts of his record that were not good. And I got to either I'm going to believe all of them or I'm going to believe none of them. First and foremost, the owner said that they all picked Deshaun Watson. Then the D. Podesta said it was collaborative. All of them picked him. Then Kevin Stefanski sat there in the room with him, told him about the things that they think he can do well and how they can do some things, and was excited about Deshaun Watson. Andrew Berry said it was collaborative. So my thought process is if 4 guys are telling you the same thing and the owner comes out prior to the season and says, you know what, that was on me, I'm going to take the blame for that, I'm going to raise my hand. I can't then sit here and say that wasn't necessarily true. All of them are saying it. Every last single one of them. Now, in terms of why Andrew Berry is here and why he outlasted Kevin Stefanski is because I'm not making the choice. Jimmy Haslam made the determination that the draft class was good. Jimmy Haslam then made the determination that I don't need D. Podesta And D. Podesta was over control of a lot of the decisions being happening with the Cleveland Browns. When he got moved in the middle of the season, you knew what type of time it was. Also, you knew what type of time we was on when Flacco got moved. You knew what type of time we was when they traded Kenny Pickett. So the reality of the situation is this has been going on, and the owner said, you know what, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Let me see what you do. Because if he wouldn't have showed up and did anything in this draft, he was going to get fired too. Now, let me tell you what Jay said, which is actually correct. This ain't no crazy. I'm going to let y'all know about this right now. He got to still come back out next year, and he got to hit another home run.
He better.
And the picks that he had this year, and this is the thing, the quarterback has to hit. Because if you don't take a quarterback got to be good. You got to get you about 8-9 wins. You better.
Are you talking about the next quarterback?
No. I'm talking about here's the reality. He's going to have to choose who he has in that locker room, who's going to step and play. Because if he does not take a quarterback, then the onus is on him to say, you picked this quarterback and you kept him.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
And he has to perform.
Which is why he's going to take a quarterback and why that's going to be the golden child.
I don't necessarily. Here's why I think you're not.
Because his quarterbacks are third and fifth rounders, Gene. You can't look to those guys to save the franchise.
Here's what I'm saying, though. If I'm sitting here looking at it and Andrew Berry has to win 7 games. Minimum.
Yes.
So if I need to take a quarterback and I need to get to a quarterback, then what do I need to do to get one? You're gonna have to take one high, which means you have less talent, less information, less capital to go do what you need to make the team better. So he could take a quarterback, but that quarterback, if he wins 4 or 5 games, he'll be gone too next year.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't preclude him, even if he doesn't take one of the top 2, which he probably won't get to, because picking 6 he's not going to. I mean, Tyler Shuck looks pretty good to me. You know, there are quarterbacks that can be serviceable in the late first round or early second round. They could take an offensive lineman or a wide receiver with their first pick in the first round. They could take a quarterback with their second pick in the first round and have success with them. But I do think that you're right. You got to figure out the quarterback position. So it's either got to be a 3, a 5, or someone not yet on this roster.
This is another. Go ahead.
Go.
This is a show for another day. But a quarterback drives everything, right? And we've talked about, like, it's hysterical to me that they've had 40-some-odd quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks since '99. Only twice have they taken a quarterback in the top 20 of the first round. Like, that's
what's the definition of insanity,
That
Jay?
is mind-blowing.
Jay, what's the definition of insanity?
So really, really what it comes down to, I mean, Jimmy's standing up there talking a good game today about how they're going to win all these games. And I'm looking at it going, who's your quarterback?
Yeah, how are you going to do it?
And you're not winning all these games with the quarterbacks on this roster currently.
No.
And so are you going to move up somehow miraculously this year? And if not, you have to ensure you have to go 1-31 style to make sure that you're in position next year. Next year, no one wants to hear this. Next year has to be even worse than this year was to make sure you were 2 wins away from having the number 1 pick this year, and you won your last 2 games and you fell. So now what are you going to do to get a quarterback in 27 if you're not taking one in 20? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
This is just a
and by the way,
hamster wheel
does Arch
that
Manning,
just runs
does
and runs
Arch
and runs
Manning
and runs.
weigh into all of this
I'm sure on some
because
level.
Arch look great in his playoff game. He's made some nice progress. He's coming back next year. He'll likely be the crown jewel of the 27 draft.
But let me jump in here.
Last thing. When I talk about Arch Manning, I'm not saying I think this is what they should do. I'm just trying to give you a look into how I feel they see it.
Yeah.
I hope that they just worry about trying to find a quarterback in this draft and find the best franchise quarterback for this team in this draft.
I would too.
And if it doesn't work that way, well, then you deal with it. But we're not at that point. It's January 5th. Right. I hope that they don't keep kicking this can down the road because I advocated last year. I said, they got the second pick in a 1 quarterback draft. What do you want them to do? What do you expect them to do? So I hope, like, at some point they pull the trigger.
I don't know if that was accurate, by the way.
Well,
I mean, Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck, we'll see.
Yeah, but no one was taking those picks that high, is what I'm saying.
Well, maybe somebody should have.
Maybe
Nobody
they
took
should
Lamar Jackson high. They should have.
Maybe they should have. But at the information they had at the time, they felt like they were sitting second in a 1 quarterback draft. Fair? At the time.
Yeah.
And as usual, the GM was wrong.
Well, a lot of GMs may end up being wrong.
Well, but here's the thing. A lot of teams didn't need a quarterback, that passed on the quarterbacks. But here's the thing. Okay? This is mind-blowing to me. The fact that Andrew Berry still has a job is totally mind-blowing. he has arguably been the worst GM in the league. Who's done a worse job putting together a team than Andrew Berry over the last 6 years?
The Jets are pretty bad. The Titans are pretty bad.
Okay, so we're competing with the Jets and Titans.
Listen, those are our.
Well, they
those are our
fired
colleagues.
GMs during that time, both those teams.
Yes, they have.
The Browns have not. The Browns arguably have the least amount of talent on offense. Since Andrew Berry got here, they're worse at quarterback, they're worse at running back, they're worse at wide receiver, they're worse at offensive line. All right, Harold Fannon's probably a little better than Andrew Berry than David Njoku was. So I'll say there's a little bit upgrade there. Their two best players on defense, were either of them drafted by Andrew Berry?
Nope.
No? He did a nice job this draft. Here's the thing. When the bar is so low, we overrate when things are good. We turn good into great. We turn mediocre into good. I'm not giving Andrew Berry handstands for drafting a running back in the second round who was, okay as a rookie. I think he's going to be good, but that's not some great accomplishment.
I'd like you to see you do a handstand. So what do we have to?
Oh God, nobody wants to see that. I'm going to be dead if I do a handstand. The rest of the draft. Listen, I give him credit on Schlesinger. It was a great pick.
Yep.
I give him credit on Fadden. That was a great pick. Yes, he's done some nice things this year. But if you have to look at a full track record, because if he, as you guys have said, well, if he doesn't get it right this year, he's out. Well, then you just let him hire the new coach.
Yep.
You let him draft 2 players in the first round.
Yep.
So far on his first round picks, he's drafted Mason Graham, who looks like a hit, but I don't know if it's a big hit, because at 5, you better be a superstar. And not just a good player. He's definitely going to be a good player. We'll see if he's a superstar. His other 2 first-round picks are already gone. They sucked. And I don't care. Make Paul DePodesta the boogeyman, whatever you want. If you're allowed to do that, I'm allowed to say Andrew Berry's responsible for the Watson trade and every bad thing that happened the last bunch of years.
You are.
All right?
That's your theory.
And I'll tell you this. Now, maybe this is not an apples-to-apples thing, but because coaches are more likely to get rehired than GMs, as you and I were talking. If Andrew Berry got fired today, is he getting another GM job?
As a head of a
No,
department?
I don't think as a general manager.
He would get another front office job.
Scouting,
Sure, fine.
somewhere in there.
Well, I don't know about scouting. I don't know how he can scout, but part of the analytics department or whatever.
Somewhere.
I mean, it is patently absurd. If you look at offensive talent, the Browns are the worst team in the league. Worst team. If you asked every coach in the league, you could take what we're going to draft the 32 offensive teams right now. The Browns would go dead last.
I think they would.
Dead last.
Sure.
Your 2 best players on your strong unit were drafted by the guy before.
The Raiders are pretty much us.
Without
The
Myles
Jets.
Garrett, this is a 0-win team. They're the worst team in football without Myles Garrett. They're a 0-win team. Okay? They won their last 2 games because of Myles Garrett.
And defense.
End of story.
And the defense in general.
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett had 1 sack the last 2 games.
Jay, if Myles Garrett doesn't play the last 2...
Myles Garrett's the most important defensive player, but you can't take away what everybody else on the defense did.
The Browns lose both games if they don't have Myles Garrett. No doubt in my mind.
I mean...
Oh, I disagree with that.
Is he going to kick the field goal too?
He might. They wouldn't have been in a position... The Browns won that game because of their defense, but mostly because of Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I agree with both things you said, but not the way you say it is solely because of Myles Garrett. Because you're saying without him they lose.
Who won the game yesterday?
The Browns.
Okay, but both saying they don't win it.
They don't win without Myles Garrett. It's 100% true. I can't say 100% true. It's not a fact.
It's your opinion.
It's my strong opinion.
I'm just saying, bro. I saw 2 dudes take pick 6s back to the crib. I don't understand what you're talking about.
Because there was 1 pick 6.
Well,
the other was a fumble. Myles Garrett makes all that possible.
Devin Bush, Shelby Harris actually hit the ball.
Yeah.
It got tipped. He took it back to the crib. Why are you stripping these dudes of their medals? What point are you making?
Honestly, Bush,
it's a unit.
I'm making the point that Myles Garrett is so much better than any other player that he makes teams adjust everything.
He's great.
I don't believe that the Bengals, the Steelers, every other team would play differently against the Browns if it were not for Myles Garrett, and thus a game that they won on a game-winning field goal, in my opinion, they would have lost if Myles Garrett were not on the team. I don't think that's an unreasonable opinion.
I think you're both correct because Myles actually threw the block that sprung Bush.
Yeah,
He did. He had a lot to do with him getting to the end.
by the way,
score if
which is
Myles
by the
doesn't
way,
score.
I'm not saying that there aren't other defensive players who are playing well. There are good players.
Yeah, I thought the
but
defense played
Myles
great.
Garrett makes it all happen.
I mean,
all
but-
happen.
No one will disagree with that.
But you preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
about
no
that.
one's gonna disagree with that.
I don't want. I said he's the best defensive player I've ever seen in my life. We
Right,
talked
that's
about
what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't think they would have won either game without him.
But
to say they'd be 0-17.
all I'm saying,
Yes, I think they would be.
All I'm saying is like that's slightly hyperbole, and I get that.
No,
what you're
I know it's
saying.
not hyperbole at all. Not for me. You could disagree. You have a right to disagree, but that's how I
And the
feel.
Cardinals just fired Jonathan Gannon, by the way. So
Okay.
makes
Six.
Now we got
Six
6
jobs.
openings,
That might be worse
which
than
is
the
I think
Browns.
right
that's not a
between
good
the.
job.
That's terrible too.
That is worse than the
Wouldn't
Browns.
want it.
Worse
I
than
don't
the
know.
They do have a higher draft pick than the Browns, but I wouldn't want
But
that
you
job.
know, I tell people all the time, I'm not sitting up here. Listen, my track record is on the record. I'm one of the first dudes that was running around here talking about why Andrew Berry ain't got no receivers and linemen and Jed Wills is a bust. This is all on record. Nobody's capping for Andrew Berry. Nobody's standing up here saying his drafts is crazy. I'm the one before it was fashionable.
But you guys both said he should keep his job.
But it's we talking about
Based on what
what
he
you
did
have
last
you
year.
done for me lately.
Yeah, based on that.
well,
think
I
that's
don't
why
judge
he
a
keeps
guy
his job.
just based
All right,
on what
so
he did for me lately.
I gave you this analogy. This
Yeah.
analogy is ironclad. Say, for instance, you worked in radio, right? You worked in radio.
Yes.
You get to a market. Say
Yeah.
you were third in the ratings for 3 years. Third, right? Behind two other stations. You get to the fourth year. You hit your stride. In that fourth year, you not only are the number one in the market, you're the number one in the market. You're by a great margin. Your contract, hold on.
That's not a good comparison.
You were third in the market, which may have been last. Then on your fourth year, you became the top team in the market. You got the best radio station, and it's not even really, it's your best work.
Yeah.
Your contract's up. Are you going to go in there and take less money, or will you get a promotion?
Better get
No,
a
but
raise.
the Browns were not. The Browns were not the number one team in the
You're-
market. They
you're-
won 5
you're-
games.
No, I think what he's talking about.
It's
because I
not a good
disagree-
comparison.
No, I
No.
disagree with that too, but I think what he wants to say is.
I
don't know
understand what
because
he's
I
trying
didn't
to say.
But I'm
Did
saying-
he have the best
Let
draft in the
you just
NFL
say it.
last year?
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't
Well,
either.
Well, I'll tell you what I was trying to say.
The job of the GM is not to have the best draft in one draft.
So,
One of his-
I'm going to tell you what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you sit in there, you're going to say, hey, we're number one in the market. You're not going to
Andrew
say.
Berry wasn't number one?
What I'm saying to you is, I'm talking about improvement. If I was third 3 years in a row and I've improved and I got to the top where this the best work I done done, and you see it, you're going to go in and they're going to say, you know what, you're correct. We're going to promote you. We're going to, or at least keep your job. You're not getting fired after you put your best year of production out.
Yeah,
That's not happening.
I don't agree that hitting some draft picks is productive. It's not the same thing.
But
You're-
that's-
He also
you're
made,
making
he also
apples
made a
to
great trade.
orange.
He also made a great trade.
It's all,
And he's made a million bad trades.
it's up to the. It's
And
up
by
to
the way,
owner.
you guys keep saying it's a good trade,
Yeah.
okay? It's not a good trade until those draft picks pay off.
What,
No,
Tyson
I'm talking
Campbell?
about the Campbell and Newsom trade.
Tyson
Oh,
Campbell?
that Campbell trade, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm counting.
Great's a little strong. It was a good trade.
Now hold on.
I think it was a great trade.
It's a-
I'll stay
I mean,
with
Newsom,
good, but
Newsom can't stay on the field.
Tyson Campbell was one of their best defensive backs. He also was an upgrade over Newsom, and also
I agree. It was a good trade.
Also, he got him, and he's under contract
Under
because
control.
he knew
Yeah.
that he was not going to pay Greg Newsom any other money.
By the way, Newsom's not going to get paid.
and he's not going to get paid. So it was a great trade.
Listen, I've made it clear. You're judging only by this year.
I'm saying, well, has some judging. I ain't judging nothing.
Well, you said he should keep his job.
I'm just saying, it's not surprising.
So
to
you're
me.
judging based on.
I'm judging based on.
Are you saying he should keep his job, or are you saying, or no?
What I'm saying to you
Yeah.
is, when we sit here and we're acting like we don't understand and we don't know why this is happening,
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what the owner is. So he's
Oh, I
showing
understand because Jimmy's a bad owner
So
and doesn't know what he's doing.
He should have kept his job. No, you understand why he kept his
I
job.
understand why it is.
But would you have brought him back?
Here's what I would have done. I would have looked at what they have on the football field, and I would say, okay, where is the direction going? Is the direction going here, or the direction
And I
is
still
going down?
don't know. I still don't know that.
And for me, I look at the picks that he had, and if I don't want to completely start over, and I got 2 first-round picks, and I got to figure out what I'm doing at quarterback, and I got cap purgatory, and I need to fill this roster, and I got to do it quickly before the stadium get done, I'm going to give you an extra year to prove what you got to do. And then
We're aligned. You and I are aligned. But it's 1 year.
Even though he's failed 5 out of 6 years at minimum.
Yeah.
And if he stinks again next year and they fire him, now you have a now you allowed him to take 2 more first-round picks, and you have a coach that the new GM didn't hire.
That's
terrible.
But that's what the Browns do.
But do you believe?
They shouldn't.
I believe Jimmy Haslam will be involved in who they pick and what they're going to say.
I agree with that.
So if he
this notion that
you
Barry's
just said you believe whatever Jimmy Haslam says. He said it was going to be Andrew Berry's thing.
Here's what I'm.
You said that, G. You just said that.
So he's not going to have no input. You can be the final decision
You
maker.
just said.
No, I said I believe what Jimmy Haslam said.
Yes, and he said Andrew Berry's going to make the decision.
If Jimmy Haslam says he's going to make the decision,
yeah.
Do you not believe that Jimmy Haslam is going to have some input?
Yeah, he's got to override.
That's it.
But
so he's going to have.
You just argued against putting all the blame on Andrew Berry because Jimmy said he.
No, I said.
So you're saying Jimmy's not telling the truth.
It was collaborative.
But you're saying he's not telling the truth.
What I'm saying to you, Bull, when you're talking about it, every one of these dudes, the Deshaun Watson thing is a disingenuous conversation at the heart of it. The problem is Deshaun Watson missed. You missed on Deshaun Watson. Okay, deal with it. Let's get it going.
That's part of judging the GM.
But here's my thing,
disingenuous.
Though. Every person is on record saying that they were a part of it. So why are we trying to parse? And say,
so then Andrew Berry's hiring the GM. That's what they said.
He got a hold of.
He's hiring the coach.
And guess what? The owner is going to have a part in that.
He didn't say that though.
Didn't say what?
That he was going to have a part of it. G's saying we got to listen to what the owner says. I got to believe what he says.
G and I are aligned on this, and maybe you're misunderstanding. I think what we're saying.
I'm not misunderstanding, Jay.
I think when he says it's going to be his decision, it is.
It is.
I think he's going to tell Andrew, line up your candidates, do your interviews, but like any business. Do you think he's going to hire him without telling the owner?
I'm not. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. You don't understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that G keeps saying, "Well, I got to believe what the owner says. I got to believe." But in this case, now we're not supposed to believe him word for word.
No, believe him. Okay, let's operate on what G said is true because I believe that too.
Yeah.
I think when Jimmy sat up there and said it's Andrew's hire, 100%. I believe that he's going to handle it. However, Jimmy, as usual, didn't say.
Of course he's going to have say.
He didn't say the quiet part out loud.
Of course. I know that.
And that's the way it works. So by saying that Andrew's going to do the search, if he comes to him and drops down a picture of Bozo the Clown, Jimmy's going to say, oh, no. I've had that guy here before.
But ultimately,
I've had that guy here 5 times
Ultimately,
before.
Andrew Berry is most likely going to lead the process to hiring the coach.
100%, I believe that.
If next year's a disaster, which at this point, there's not a ton of reason to be optimistic about it, then he's gone.
Yes.
And then you have a coach that was hired by a GM who's now fired.
Yes.
And now the new GM's going to be, we don't know if he's going to like the coach.
Here's why Jimmy has final say. Because Jimmy knows that he may have to work with this guy without Andrew.
That's right. Thank you.
That's the point.
But the new coach may not like the GM. Or
maybe not.
Or Jimmy's going to say, well, now I got to hire a GM that the coach likes.
Well, the new coach is going to be.
And now we're cutting out candidates because he screwed up the whole thing.
Jimmy will have a say-so in everything.
Every move that's made.
Now.
He will.
And the reason he's going to do that is because he may know that after next year, it's the same way I got rid of Stefanski, I need to have a relationship with the people that if I choose to keep somebody.
And a comfort level with them.
And a comfort level that I can
might be
maneuver.
working with this guy.
And so that's just the way it looks for me. And the only thing I'm talking about, I think you get confused when I say believe him or don't believe him. When it goes to the Deshaun Watson trade, I believe everybody in the organization has to hold that.
They were on board.
Everybody was lockstep. Yeah. I think it's revisionist history to sit here and say it's the craziest thing in the world when everybody in the world at the time, given what his Deshaun Watson's track record was on board and excited about it.
I agree that everybody takes some blame in that, but I think Andrew Berry is the GM. He gets the most.
One other thing, too, about everybody saying they were on board, this is where we do make a mistake in believing everything they tell us.
Nobody's going to admit that. If Kevin Stefanski didn't want it, he's not going to admit that.
Does anybody sitting in these chairs today think that Kevin wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders?
No.
Okay, I don't either.
No.
Where are we on whether or not Andrew Berry wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders? I just read the room. I read their reaction when the draft pick was announced. They both look like someone just snatched their dog.
No,
So I don't think anybody of them were in lockstep. But I'm sure there was a meeting before they had the press conference. We're an organization. We move together. We all are in step with one another. We were all on the same page with this move. And even if that conversation didn't happen, do you think that Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Berry, either one, have the personality to walk up in front of a camera and say, "I'm just for the record, I was not on board with this pick"? That's absurd.
It makes no rational sense that anybody but Jimmy Haslam picked Shedeur Sanders.
I agree with you.
Can I give you what I think happened? I'm just, this is just me giving it now.
Theory.
This is theory. People have whispered these things. I think Jason Lloyd is correct. I do think that they took Dylan Gabriel. That was a guy that Kevin Stefanski was very comfortable with, and they made the choice to take Dylan Gabriel. They were not supposed to draft another quarterback.
They were not.
They were done with it.
The owner said before day 3, we are not taking another quarterback.
I think that during that night when Shedeur Sanders was still on the board, Jimmy Haslam said, "I'm taking him." He called Andrew Berry and said, "Andrew, what do you think about him? Make the move."
I agree.
Andrew Berry made the pick. The awkwardness that you saw on camera was Kevin Stefanski looking at Andrew Berry like, when did we decide we was doing this?
I mean, I don't know. It seemed like they were both.
I think they were both upset. I think at that point, Andrew was just doing what the owner told him to do.
The owner told him to do it. It was awkward energy. And the awkward energy was, I thought we talked about this. And then at that moment, they knew they were no longer on the same trajectory.
And Bull made a point early in the show about Stefanski's not here because he didn't stand up for his beliefs and principles. In the end, Andrew Berry might also not be here because he didn't stand up to his beliefs and principles. Because we could argue about the quarterbacks a million ways to Sunday. This much is a proven fact. If you draft 2 rookie quarterbacks, you have just stunted the growth of both of them. I've talked to multiple NFL people that are with NFL teams right now that I made that statement.
It rarely happens.
And that's why and that's why it doesn't happen.
Right.
The general consensus was when you take 2 rookie quarterbacks, you've stunted the growth of both of them. And that's why Andrew Berry didn't want to do it and why Kevin didn't want to do it.
Right, which is why it was obviously a Jimmy Haslam move.
Right.
So, which especially, like when Washington did it with RG3 and Kirk Cousins, that's different because you draft a guy in the first round, you're committed to him as the starter, and then Kirk Cousins is going to get treated like any other backup, quarterback behind a guy.
Right, but by the way, if you look at how that situation has worked in Atlanta, that's blown up too. I mean, just days after you sign a quarterback to a guaranteed contract, you go and draft his replacement. It's been awkward as hell down there ever since. And what happened? When they finally did get the quarterback out on the field, and he did play, he did not measure up to what they wanted. And then what happened at the end of the season? They're the ones that should be representing the NFC South. I think the Atlanta Falcons are the best team in the division.
They're playing the best of the 3.
And you know why they're not going to the playoffs? Because they went into this quarterback tug-of-war.
Yeah.
They picked the wrong guy. If they would have just rode with Kirk Cousins, who in my mind is still a top 15 quarterback, top 10 maybe. Kirk Cousins, go look at their offensive production the last couple of weeks.
You get carried away there, Jay.
Top half?
I don't think.
Maybe. I think even that's pushing it.
I think when we put it here and you put it in the crosshairs. Listen, you look at that quarterback room. I'm on record saying, whatever they got in that quarterback room, I absolutely believe that is what will be here in 2026.
I don't agree with that.
Wait, just the 3 of them?
3 quarterbacks.
Oh, no, not a chance. That happens.
You think they could win 7 games with the 3 quarterbacks they have?
Hey, listen,
there's not a chance.
Hold on, it ain't about what it ain't about what I think. I'm looking at the parameters. If the parameters are this, you don't have the ammunition to go above a top 6 pick, right? You're at 6.
I mean, they have the ammunition, but the point is the teams at 1 and 2 both need a quarterback.
Bo Nix, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, a lot of these quarterbacks weren't top 6 picks.
So here's the thing. Then we go to the valuation. You now have to you dipping down to the Simpsons of the world. You dipping down to other quarterbacks. I don't think, first of all,
first quarterback taken is not always the best guy.
That is correct. I'll give you that. But it boils down to what the board says, what the draft board says. And my thing is this. Andrew Berry, you're a bad boy if you can pick this off. You get this. If you look at what happened with these quarterbacks, if you draft a quarterback, he has to win 7. He got to win 7 games.
I believe that.
Do you believe that? Do you believe a non-top 2 quarterback coming out of this year's draft can get you 7 wins with this roster?
With this defense, I do.
But we talk about offense.
Because here's the thing. I just saw us win 5 games with some of the worst quarterback play we've ever seen here. So if you can pull off 5 with that, and now you're going to get a wide receiver, you're going to get offensive linemen, you better be better. I agree with you, G. He doesn't win 7 games. Bye-bye.
Jay, the Browns also played, of the teams that are picking in the top 10, the Browns had the easiest strength of schedule.
No question.
And won 5 games.
And won 5.
And so the calculus is, this is crazy work. The calculus, if you think about it, is if I won 5 games with this, and people was doing musical chairs, if I upgrade the roster, I upgrade the talent, I get 2 more linemen, I get another receiver, I got to go in free agency, and the players and the guys that are around him get better, what can I do with this existing quarterback room?
Well, the current GM has 0 in 6 years, 0 hits at quarterback, wide receiver, and offensive line.
You are
0.
You are 100%.
And so
right.
you're going to have faith that he's going to turn all those things around in 1 year?
It's a big ass. It's a big ass.
And watch this. And
0.
And if he does draft a quarterback, and that quarterback struggles next year, you know what people going to say? The same thing we sat up here and said today. You march quarterback after quarterback after quarterback in here, and you knew that the offensive line was terrible for 4 years.
Yeah.
You knew you didn't have no receivers
Well, he's gotta
besides Jerry
fix that.
Jeudy. And so you meaning to tell me you drafted another quarterback, put him out there, and he's struggling because you still – that's malpractice.
He hasn't drafted any quarterbacks in the first round.
He ain't drafted no receivers or linemen in the first round except for Jed Wills.
Yeah, how'd that turn out?
It turned out nasty.
I don't know, man. It's going to be hard to turn around that
Really
offense
nasty.
in 1 year.
It is, but
And it's going to be impossible without a quarterback.
I think the progression, if you went from 3 to 5, I think, obviously in that order.
Yeah, but teams
next
don't
is
always go-
7. No, they don't, but look at,
Yeah.
I think the Denver Broncos are a really fascinating study, man. Someone should write a book on what they've done. They were bottom of the barrel before Sean Payton came in. He won 8 games in year 1 with Russ Wilson. He gets his quarterback. He picks the guy he likes. He was later in the draft. What was he, 16, 12, something like that?
Yeah.
Then they
He was the
go
6th quarterback
from
taken
8
at
games,
12.
from 8 wins, they went to 10 wins, and they went to 14 wins, the most in the league.
What did they do the year before he was there?
That
Were
would
they
be
Browns
21.
bad?
They were. I think they were Browns bad. 5 wins, maybe 5 wins in 21 before Sean Payton came in.
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah,
No, wouldn't that be 22? He's been there 3 years, right?
he was there.
3, 4, and 5.
They went
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
His 3 years were 8 and 9, 10 and 7, 14. They were 5 and 12 the year before.
Okay, so he went from 5 to 8 to 10 to 14. What?
But they got the quarterback.
They got the quarterback, and
That's the key.
and to back that up, like how is a turnaround like that possible?
Yeah.
And this falls into your theory that the quarterback is way more valuable. And by the way, when they showed the stat yesterday, I said, "Wow, maybe Bull's right, and I'm wrong on this." They showed the stat difference yesterday when Joe Burrow is played with the Bengals and when he hasn't. They're 1 and 8 when he hasn't played. They're 5 and 3 now.
Yeah.
When he has played. So that's an increase over a half a season in 4 games.
I still don't know.
So, and in New England, they got the coach right. Mayo was not the guy, But what I liked about that decision was Robert Kraft said after 1 year, that's why I'm stunned that the Jets are sticking with Aaron Glenn. After 1 year, you know what it looks like, and you also know what it's not supposed to look like.
But
and in New England, it was not supposed to look like that with Drake May. They bring in Mike Vrabel, and they're at 14 wins.
Well, I don't know why Zach Taylor ain't on this list. How do you? We just sit here. And say,
I agree with that.
How do you lose to the Cleveland Browns and you got Chase healthy, Burrow healthy, Brown healthy, T. Higgins healthy? How you lose?
It's insane to me. At home.
When he punted on that 4th and 1,
I knew you were screaming.
I was like losing my mind.
I literally said in my head, "Oh God, I bet Bull's just going nuts right now."
It was just crazy. But
his comments
and their
post-game
GM sucks too. They should both be fired. But Mike Brown doesn't fire
I know
anybody.
this wasn't a
He
topic,
sucks.
but
He
I want to
stinks.
bring it up because we're going to Myles Garrett next, right? So the one thing that I thought was made all of them look like babies. I saw Chase's comments and I saw Taylor's comments
I didn't like that
about delaying the game.
Yeah, that fits right
Like,
into
I
where we're
just
going.
thought they looked like major whiners. You guys had plenty of opportunities to win that football
They had
game.
it.
All you had
want to win? Get a stop.
And guess what? All you had to do is stop the rookie quarterback
From going 30 yards.
from going downfield and getting it done.
He got 30
That's all
yards,
you had to
and
do.
they kicked the game-winning
Yeah,
field goal.
yeah.
Don't whine about,
I
the
didn't
game
like
was
it.
delayed. It was an historic NFL moment. And they
didn't like
really,
it.
truly, most of it happened on the sidelines.
And-
Garrett came out of the
Yeah,
game,
it
and
was
then
not
the
a big deal.
celebration went on much longer.
They scored after the celebration.
Yes, I know.
So, what are you talking
so
about?
they did kill that momentum.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, that I thought was really disingenuous for Zach Taylor, he said the referees, it took us forever to get an answer from the referees as to what happened. And also, they never told us that there was going to be the delay, and that was the decision that the
Well, they
crew
should
made.
have told them.
Now, I agree
Yes,
with that.
that's a
but what
mistake.
Zach Taylor said next
Yeah.
is what really made me mad at Zach
Yeah.
Taylor. He said, we had a 90-minute pregame meeting with the officials, and they never told us that. Why didn't you ask?
It's a good
Why
call.
didn't you ask?
But
What
listen,
is protocol
I didn't
when
like
the
the
record is
whining
broken?
at all from the
It looked
Bengals. I
bad.
thought it was lame.
Bad look.
The only thing the refs should have said to Zach Taylor,
I agree with you.
before the game, hey, if Myles Garrett breaks the record,
100%.
we're going to delay the game. And
Yep.
it wasn't that long a delay. Stop whining about it. You had no business losing
Yes.
that game.
I agree with you.
That was ridiculous.
The refs should have told them, but also a 90-minute meeting.
Yeah. And he
You
says,
know that he's one sack away.
Yeah.
It would be on my list of questions for the
Right.
officials. How are
Hey,
we
what are
gonna
we doing
handle it?
if this happens?
Here's another question.
Well,
It didn't turn out
yeah.
that way. What if he had gotten the sack with 12 seconds to go in the game?
Right.
And no timeouts?
Well, let's talk about the record, Jay. Let's dive into that entire portion of today's show that does focus a little bit on the Browns beating the Bengals to end the season on a high note. Our Miles Talk today brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays feel different during basketball season. FanDuel making them better every Friday night before the games tip off. FanDuel is giving fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. It is the official NBA pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. So before tip-off, head over to the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA's Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That is NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Guys, Myles Garrett is the new single-season sack king with 23. He got it in the fourth quarter against the Bengals
about
yesterday.
5 minutes left.
Yep.
It got a little hairy there.
Got a lot
For a little
hairy.
bit. I didn't think he was going to get it between the game plan Cincinnati was showing, between how they were getting the ball to Joe Burrow's hands quickly. I was a little worried. We talked about it on the postgame show, and even you, Myles Garrett's biggest supporter, said I had some hesitation. It didn't look like it was going to happen, but Myles did get the record, and he now has cemented himself with the single best pass rushing season in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, I was nervous because anytime they put your mom and dad on camera,
I know.
Yeah.
that puts you in a
They went to
whole-
Cincinnati for this.
They was at Natty. They had his mom and dad on there. His dad had one of the most gigantic transformer. He looked like he had Soundwave that
coat?
transformed. Nah, that camera.
Oh.
Yeah, that camera he had
Yeah.
looked like a transformer, dog. I'm like, dang, bro, you got Soundwave on here, bro. It transformed into the whole thing. It had the biggest. I'm like, that looked like it could see through walls. But anyway, shout out to Myles Garrett. I was nervous because, again, I went to Bull's point earlier. For the last 4 weeks, their game plan for Myles Garrett has been grade A, perfect. They got people down there chipping. They got another back over there.
three of them.
Three of them. The quarterbacks don't even be looking downfield. I was like, I knew the Browns had a chance to win this football game after they got those little 2 turnovers and got points because
Well, that was their only chance.
that was the only chance. They went into the Aaron Rodgers bag.
Yeah.
Where Joe Burrow was just looking. One time on the scramble, Joe Burrow was
Looking over his
around
shoulder
over
at
his
him.
shoulder.
Yeah.
Look over your. It's like the Jackson 5. Look over your shoulder, honey. Like
I will say, two very
over your shoulder.
two very bad takes that I've seen since this game. By the way,
I know where you're going.
One that the Bengals did the same thing the Steelers did is ridiculous.
Not
The
bad.
Bengals-
on.
He knew he was going to be sacked,
That
and he
was a
made a
wrap.
business decision.
Well, no. That's the Michael Strahan comparison, the Brett Favre comparison.
Yeah, I thought that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying like that the Bengals just cared about preventing the sack record. I don't agree with that at all.
No. I mean, it weighed into their game plan.
It did, but like they ran the ball a lot because they were running it effectively for the most part.
Usually where Myles Garrett was.
Yeah, right.
You know?
But The Michael Strahan comparison's ridiculous. Joe Burrow was going to get hit.
Yeah, he just said, I'm going to go down.
Like,
He made the right decision. I can either let him absolutely swallow me up, or I can go down and let him
Michael Strahan, there was nobody else around in that situation.
The Favre sack was not inevitable.
Right, this
sack was inevitable. He was going to go down.
He jumped the snap count perfectly, and I thought to myself,
I even thought they might flag him.
Yeah,
I thought he moved before anybody else moved.
It was crazy, and I said the only way he's gonna get this sack record is if he jumped this snap, and he jumped it perfectly. And by the time he got to where Burrow was like, oh yeah, it's a wrap. Let me go ahead and get down or lay down. And look, I look at it from a standpoint, and I just say this about Myles Garrett. Like, I'll be happy to see it, because growing up, man, we don't got nothing we can be proud of, right? So even when we talk about this thing in the game, like, I get pride from seeing my team do well. I get pride from seeing Joe Thomas. I watched every moment of Joe Thomas's Hall of Fame induction, because for us, we don't got that. I think a lot of people don't understand. My team ain't never been to no Super Bowl. My team ain't never been sniffed no Super Bowl. The closest we done came is Bernie, and I was emotional because Bernie was out here fighting for his life, and I'm like, man, he's the last vestige of any good and solid and decent thoughts about my team. If he go, I feel like a dude that's passing along knowledge that don't come along for young people. So with Myles Garrett, they draft him number 1. He's exactly what you hope to get out of a player in the top at number 1 overall. For him to come out and be generational, which he's done.
Especially a defensive player.
Especially
if you take a defensive player at number 1, he better end up being Myles Garrett.
And the fact that he not only lived up to that, he's been awesome. And I'll give him credit for this. He took a lot of heat for asking for a trade. He took a lot of heat. There's a lot of people that said, I'm going to look at Myles differently. I'm going to root for him as a mercenary. He's not really about the city, and he's not really a leader. And you know what he did? He took that and internalized it, and all he did is come out was have the best year of his career, earn another Defensive Player of the Year, and break one of the most iconic records in all of sports. And he did that in a year when arguably he had nothing to play for. Nothing. So he came out here and did that. The fact that if somebody's with the Browns jersey that can be in the books, that is going to be in the record books, I look at that as a sense of pride, because I can look and say, as a guy that is a defensive end that like trench play, I can say, hey, Browns ain't been good. We ain't found a quarterback. We ain't got these receivers. We ain't got this. But I can say, arguably, I done seen 2 guys in Joe Thomas on offense and Myles Garrett on defense be 2 of the greatest to ever put uniforms on. So for me, as a big dude coming up, growing up, playing offensive line with my hand in the dirt, that's a sense of pride for me, and I couldn't be more ecstatic. I don't care what happened during the game. That point, I was a kid in a candy store, and then to put it on top of it, we got a game-winning field goal. We went down there. We had no chance to win this game. We come down to kick a field goal, and our other rookie, Andre Schmidt, who shows dividends, he kicks a field goal. So I guess what I got to do? I got to end my year and start my year with beating Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and beating Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins all in a day, and Myles Garrett broke the record. I'm going to take it. I was ecstatic yesterday.
I was too.
I got a stat for you real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the stat maybe of the year.
Okay.
Maybe of the year. And I wish Steve, don't take tag board because tag board's not working. Shocker. On the game ceiling sack, according to Next Gen Stats, Myles Garrett had a get-off speed of 0.17 seconds.
I believe it. He anticipated it perfectly.
Just it gets better.
Nobody moved.
0.17. For comparison's sake, these are the other Browns defensive linemen, and then I'm going to compare it to something even crazier. Myles, 0.17. On that play, Shelby Harris had a 0.77. Cam Thomas, 0.87. Aiden Huntington, 0.67. So significantly faster, right? Yeah. Myles, 0.17.
Got it.
According to Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports, who's very credible, I'm going to read the exact tweet he sent out. For context on the absurd Myles Garrett 0.17 second get-off time, when Usain Bolt set the world record in the 100-yard dash in Beijing in 2008,
I knew it.
His get-off time, 0.165 seconds.
Wow.
That's wild.
Absurd.
It is.
We'd love to
absurd.
show you the graphic, but
Well, there's so many things that are
Mechanically.
absurd about Myles Garrett. I've never seen. You think about these last 3 games against Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati, and the teams completely adjusted. Like, Myles Garrett put up almost no traditional stats the last 3 weeks.
Boy, did he
and yet he was the
impact
most
all three.
impactful
Yes.
player
I would
in
agree
those
with that.
games. And when do you ever see that? Like, when do you see good offensive teams, Pittsburgh mediocre, but Buffalo and Cincinnati good offensive teams, react the way they did to facing Myles
I'll go
Garrett?
a step further.
Yeah.
One of them is a surefire Hall of Fame quarterback, and the other 2 are very, very, very likely ending their careers in Canton.
Yeah.
So
Stay
he
healthy.
likely, in this stretch, and a lot of people say, well, he only had 1 sack down the stretch.
Yeah.
He clearly was the most impactful player
100%.
in all 3 of those games.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Burrow,
Yeah.
and their number 1 priority was 95 cannot touch me, or we're going to probably
And
lose
you
the
don't
game.
do that with. And there's not another player
And they
in
won
the league.
2 of the 3 games.
There's not another player in the league, Jay.
No.
And here's the thing: when you're Michael Strahan, who's on a great Giants team, or you're T.J. Watt or T.J. Watt, who was on a good Steeler team,
You're playing with leads.
You're playing with leads. It's not only the pass rush attempts, but it's also like the Browns' opponents are throwing more often in advantageous throwing situations or unknown. Whereas with Strahan and Watt, though the teams they were facing had to more often
throw more often.
Right.
Because they were down.
Right,
They
exactly.
both played on playoff
and in
teams.
unadvantageous passing situations.
Yes, where Myles
Garrett had very little
How many
of those.
fourth quarters did he play in where the offense probably threw fewer than 5 passes?
I mean, it's just remarkable. Not to mention those guys had way more talent around them. We agree. The talent around Myles is better now, but those teams had way more
One
talent
other thing
around
on
them.
this rubbed me the wrong way. I like Michael Strahan, met him.
Yeah, I didn't like
interviewed
what
him,
he said. That's
Hated
lame.
what he said. because
I missed that. What did he say?
he said, well, it needs to be pointed out that I set the record in a 16-game season.
Nah, I don't care.
Here's why that's, oh my God.
We'd have to do that for every record.
Here's the thing. If
Yeah.
I'm going to put an asterisk next to either one of those 2, Myles because he needed 17 or
Yeah.
Strahan, I'm putting next to Strahan because Strahan's 22nd and a half sack was a gift.
That's right.
And everybody knows it was a
And
gift,
Jay,
including Strahan.
But beyond that, if we're going to start deciding, especially in
I know,
football,
yeah.
you have to put an asterisk next to every record.
Every record, because we used to play 12 games.
We play, yeah.
Then 14.
Then 16. Now
16.
17.
Now
so
17.
Are we going to have a record holder for each one?
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's just
No,
stupid.
it's, to me,
I get
you
it.
said it. I couldn't agree more. That is what we just witnessed is the greatest individual defensive season I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
By a pass rusher, certainly.
I mean, Deion had some
I don't know how you
years.
compare it to
Yeah.
Deion Sanders.
No, I know it's very difficult.
It's
It's
hard,
apples
but
and oranges.
in terms of pass
Like,
rushing, yes.
Deion had that kind of impact because with Deion, half the field was off limits.
Yeah.
His side of the field you
Yeah,
didn't
it
throw
was-
on.
it's crazy.
So he had a big impact. And maybe analytically you can give me some sort of proof that there's been a more impactful season by one player. But for my money, I can't remember seeing a more dominant defensive season from any player other than Myles Garrett.
It's so funny. In past years, I've said both on the radio show and in the 3 years we've been doing this, I often said before this year, like, I think there's another level of Myles Garrett. I think there's another
We saw
level.
it.
And people often took that as I was knocking him. It
Yeah.
wasn't a knock. It's just how highly I thought of him. And he did it.
And Bull,
he
as
had
evidence,
another level.
As evidence, you gave the fact that he hasn't had a good December yet. Now,
That
was huge. He
Yeah.
only had 1 sack in the last 3 games, but if you go back, his November was insane.
Right.
His November is where he won the record, and typically September was his best month.
And he went downhill.
October, November, December.
Right.
His November
wasn't.
had to be the best month of his
And
career.
while statistically, in terms of sacks, December was his worst, December/January, that was just more teams so focused on it. It wasn't like he was playing poorly.
Right.
It was just that they were so obsessed with stopping him, it became such a priority.
Right.
It's crazy. By the way, you mentioned Andre Schmidt. I said he should have been cut after week 1. Obviously,
I
was wrong. Now the Browns should not do something stupid. Last time they had a kicker have a good
Don't
season.
sign him right away.
They gave him a big extension.
Don't.
Need to do that. Let him prove it again.
I agree with you. And
Let
I
him
think
prove it
because
again.
of what happened last time, they won't. That, by the way, we haven't touched on this yet. it almost became a factor in the football game. And I know Cincinnati missed one extra point, right?
Two. Well, the first one was blocked.
First one was blocked. They missed two. When those two ridiculous, first of all, I don't think that should be a penalty. When you jump and turn into the end zone, and I know the significance of it, it should not be a penalty.
I think it's stupid to do it, but I also think
it was dumb for the first guy to do it. The second one is inexcusable.
Yeah, that's inexcusable.
And Andre Schmidt's over there going, bro, you just set me back to a 48-yard field
nailed
goal.
them both right down the middle.
The first one, go back and look, went over the net.
Could not have kicked it
The
better.
first one would have been good for 70 yards.
When it comes to player discipline, I usually disagree with you. But today, sir, you're spot on.
Yeah, that was beyond
I just
stupid.
don't.
What are you doing?
That was
dumb.
really stupid.
We already got 115.
So
Yeah.
G, should we just end the show? Because I'm not sure we're going to agree on the next topic.
I totally agree.
No, we do have one last thing to get to before we get to
might.
the Super Chats to wrap up today's show. We have some gigantic numbers. I hope to continue to see those numbers grow and grow as we figure out the next head coaching search for the Cleveland Browns, all that. We love you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends to subscribe if they haven't subscribed already. If you want more UCSS content when we're not live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., you can find all our extra content on our social media channels. That you can see those there right on your screen. G, you and I talked about Shedeur Sanders in the post-game show yesterday. Bull, I know you had a post-game show, and you gave your opinion on Shedeur Sanders. We have not heard from Jay yet on what he thought from the Browns' rookie quarterback. It'll be the last topic of the day, guys. But, Jay, what'd you make of Shedeur Sanders, who struggled in the first half but did lead a game-winning drive?
Here's what Shedeur did. If this was an academic class in a semester, he failed the first exam. He failed most of the pop quizzes, maybe a D here and there. And then at the final exam, which weighs most heavily on your grade, he got an A+. Shedeur Sanders did what I most wanted him to see from him in all of his previous games. I kept saying, well, we had chances. He had chances for late drives to win games, and he didn't do it. In fact, in several of those opportunities, he looked worse on that very last possibility to go down the field and win the game. I was thrilled the way the game played out. I said, this is perfect. This is perfect. Even though our offense was abysmal, and they were abysmal, they were awful. When it most mattered, that where you make your money, and I know he needed like 35 yards or whatever to get our kicker into field goal range, but he hadn't done that yet. That's a pretty high bar against a Cincinnati team that was clearly engaged. They wanted very badly to win this football game. I know that our defense gets the first game ball, but the second one goes to Shedeur because what was he, 11 of 22 or something?
11 and 22, correct.
50%, but that's way below average. We can't have that. Passing yards, 122, 112?
Yeah, it was not
mid.
111, I believe.
Very mid.
That's not mid. That's way worse
way
than mid.
below average. Way below average. Unacceptable work. He lost a fumble.
Yep.
He took some sacks that I thought he shouldn't have taken. Mm-hmm. But when it most counted, Shedeur Sanders came out, and it's why, what is it, perfectly timed?
Yeah.
When it most mattered, and all eyes were on Shedeur Sanders, he made some great throws. He very much, to me, in that minute and a half, looked like a leader. He looked like a leader. Guys, let's go. No hesitancy. He made the throws. He took the team 35 or whatever it was down the field, got in place for the field goal, and our man Schmidt, who I called for his release because I didn't think he had it. Man, was I wrong on that? He blasts that field goal right down the middle, and they beat a Cincinnati team that was not what their record says it was. That wasn't a 6-11. Is that what they finished? I'm sorry. That's a 10-win football team, Bull. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
I mean, their defense stinks, but
it does stink.
It was a little better at the end of the year.
I mean, they were 5-2 in games Joe Burrow played. If you extrapolate that over a 17-game season, they're 11-6, 12-5, however you want to split that last game.
Yeah.
That was not a bad football team that they beat yesterday. It wasn't a great defense, but our defense kept their offense in check. Our defense scored 12 points.
14 points.
Well, no, 14 points.
Yeah.
But what really, to me, this was the first time that I've watched Shedeur Sanders where I could say, God, we bottle that, and that's on the coaches. It's there. We've seen it. But what we've got to do is we've got to wash all the other bad stuff out. And that's going to be the ultimate question on Shedeur Sanders. Does he make it? It's not he's answered the question, can he do it? Yeah, he can do it. We've seen it. We saw it yesterday. We've seen it for stretches. But can he do it won't keep you in the league.
Consistency.
There's one word missing from there.
Consistency.
Can he do it consistently? And that's up to the coaches. I listened to his news conference this morning. I loved what he said, as always. I always love what this kid says. Mary Kay asked a couple questions that he thought were treacherous. He's like, oh, no, that's going to get me in trouble if I answer that, and I'm not going to answer that. He's a wise beyond his years, and I think that's because Deion and the way he's been coached on how to handle the media. But I listened to his news conference, and they said, how are you going to spend the offseason? He said, you know how I'm going to spend it? The only way Sanders knows how to spend it, I'm going to work. I'm going to go find my deficiencies and get better, and I'm going to find my strengths and work on them to make them better too. Said all the right things. I absolutely think he deserves a chance to come back and try to win this job. And I'm not afraid of them drafting a quarterback. Like, here's the thing. If you think this kid has it, draft 5 quarterbacks. Sign 3. Bring them all in. If you're convinced he's the guy, never run from competition. Welcome.
Never run for no smoke. Listen, you know so crazy. I'll take it a step further. I actually was harsher on Shedeur Sanders in this game, and I agree. I can't believe it. I'm agreeing with y'all folks today. I don't know what's going on today. But I agree with what Jay just said. That first half, I was doing a live stream. And half of y'all in there is probably watching now. You can attest to that. G. Bush somebody sent me a super chat. G. Bush, they ain't going to like you being objective up in here because I was like, that first fumble, you can't have it. You got to have the ball security. He got hit on the hand.
And he was carrying it in his left hand.
And he was carrying it, and he was moving. There was some sacks. I'm like, he not seeing it, the ball, and there was 3 or 4 turnover-worthy throws where it was in the double coverage. I'm looking around, and I said, this is the worst I've seen him play all year. You know what the CU auntie said? You know what people say? I don't know what's up with nephew. I ain't seen him play like this. I don't know what's up. So everybody was in lockstep. And the thing that I was most alarmed about, and he kind of shed light on this in the press conference at the end, was I didn't like the energy. I didn't see the energy. I said, what's going on?
I didn't see his post-game news conference.
Oh,
what was he referring to, the energy? His or everybody's?
No, he talked about he was going through a lot of things spiritually. He actually said Quinshon Judkins showed up in his house and told him, hey, this not you. We need you to have the energy. We need you to have, in the locker room, people kept saying, hey, man, come on. Because you're the guy that.
Because that's who they feed off of.
That's who you are, right? And he said, in the locker room, people was coming up to me telling me, we need to pick it up. And I said the exact same thing. I said, I got to give you a halftime speech, bro. This energy level, I don't know what happened and who you talk to, because right now it seems like everybody is getting fired and everybody is moving around. I need you to come out here and lock in. The first half, they said, what grade? F. First half, the entire offense, F.
Yeah.
It was nasty. I said I couldn't do it. They get to the second half, they move along the field. I said they started to wake up. But let me tell you this. When it counted, this means more than anything that when you evaluate, you are 1,000% correct. I want to see what you do when you've sucked the whole game and you've been terrible. When you get that ball on that last drive, I need people in them stands and more importantly in that huddle to believe in what you can do. McNuggets asked us on the live stream. He said, G. Bush, what you thinking here? We gonna move down the field? I said, man, I ain't put my name on that, bro. Have you seen this offense today? They haven't done nothing. And guess what? He got sacked on the first 2 plays.
I know, and then I thought, oh my God, here we go.
No, it wasn't the first 2. The first one was an incompletion.
The previous
second one was a sack.
Yeah.
On the last drive.
And
it was 3rd and 10.
Third and 10, he makes the throw to Bond, and I'm like, oh,
nice throw.
Nice throw. Then they come around, he scrambles and moves around. They get him downfield and did a throw to Jerry Jeudy on a 3rd and 1. And I'm like, no. We only need 1 yard.
And he bobbled it.
And he bobbled it. They hit him in the chest and he bobbled it. And so you get down, they kick the field goal. And I tell myself, look, what he did prior to all that was not a good game. You don't remember that.
You don't remember it.
But what you can build off of and go into the offseason is the fact that what happened on the football field humbles you to a point. And in the postseason, in the post-conference, he said, what'd you learn this year? I learned what I like and what I don't like. I learned what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at. And I learned in terms of timing if I'm not getting the ball out quickly and seeing it the way I want to see it.
Yeah.
And I said, that's where reflection comes in.
That's a lot of learning, too.
And that's a lot of learning to come with it. And that's why I always told people, no, you go through the fire so that you can put yourself in position to understand it came full circle. The Rams game, it was looking bad in the preseason. He came out to go out for the last drive, and they pulled him out of the game because he was running backwards, and people said it was going to kill his confidence. He didn't get a chance to do that. But just like in the storybook, he came back, and at the last part of the season in the game, he got to prove and show that he got better at what he was doing. The goal is, hey, nobody's going to give you nothing. They may talk about quarterbacks and do whatever they can with a quarterback, or they may even go trade for one. But if you Shedeur Sanders, here's your thought process. Bring it on. I'm going to get better. I'm here to work. And guess what? Go back and remember that conversation that Andrew Berry had with him on the sideline against who are they playing?
In the preseason.
In the preseason.
The Rams or the Eagles?
Eagles. No, it was Panthers. It's against the Panthers when he played really well.
Yes,
he said,
yes.
Hey, you played really, really well. But hey, we want to put it together. Andrew Berry then having a conversation with him and say, listen, we've seen some things, but for you to be the franchise quarterback, you got to come back and fix all of these things. And one of them, and he went down a bullet list. And now it's time to get back to work. He done did some decent things, Bull, but it's all about the progress.
What grade would you guys give him for this game overall?
See, it's interesting because I gave my analogy how like he flunked the midterm.
Yeah.
He flunked most of the quizzes, but he aced the final. And
so,
if I'm a
so
professor,
before that final drive, you would have given him an F?
D. Yeah, a D. Because he made some nice throws.
D.
And again, it's what's tantalizing. But remember, I said 2 weeks ago, I said the two words that I won't most use out of him is tantalizing, because he gives you so much.
Yeah.
And you look at it and say, it's there. Like with Dylan Gabriel, we didn't see it at all.
Yeah,
Not
right.
ever.
And to be fair, and I'll just add this to the ledger. The reason I gave him that was because I understand. I get the line and all that other stuff. That's not debatable. The team around him, these guys is playing.
But to be fair, the line was playing decent.
I'm gonna give him a C. For the game, I'll give him a C.
The reason I had him at the D was because of the energy. I didn't see his main strength is the leadership and the belief,
positivity.
The positivity. Yeah, I didn't see it. He was. I don't know what was going on.
You give him a D for the whole game?
No. I'll give him a D at that point. Like his first half, but like you said,
the final
exam. I got him at
up to
C minus if you want to.
I think that's fair. That's where I am.
See, I give him a D for the whole game. I had him as like a Q leading up to that final drive. And yes, in that final drive, I give him some credit. He made a couple of decent throws,
pressure throws too.
Now
leverage plays.
He missed Isaiah Bond.
Now,
touchdown.
Isaiah Bond, I need you to adjust.
Oh, come on.
I like that throw. I liked it. We talked about it.
Isaiah Bond had him beat. That's on Shedeur.
I'm more with Bull on this one. He had him beat.
I like
a great
the ball
receiver
placement.
adjusts to him, but you don't have a great receiver, and you know that.
I didn't have a problem with the ball placement.
As bad as the talent is around him, although the owner just told us that they should have won more games. But as bad as the talent is around them, they ran the ball decently yesterday.
I thought they did too, bro.
And I thought they pass blocked decently.
I was thoroughly upset. Go back and watch the stream.
Yeah.
They ran the ball for 4 times. 4 times in the first half. 4 or 5 times. I said, what are you doing? You guys are out here. The Bengals don't have a crazy. Bengals don't have a crazy rush defense.
No, but in truth, if you go back and look at the time of possession, it was Cincinnati had the ball almost the whole first half because they
were moving it up and down the field.
They had a long drive.
Yeah.
And it stalled, or the first drive, long drive, scored. Yeah. Then they had a long drive, pick, because they'd moved all the way down the field, pick 6. Then Joe came out, had a long drive again, fumble 6. So like Cleveland's offense is over there going, can we play?
Now they ran it a lot better in the second half. And
I get it. Ultimately, he led them on that last drive, and I give him kudos for that because
we used to kill Baker for not doing that.
Yes,
right,
absolutely. But you can't play the way you did the rest of the game.
No, that's not.
The Bengals' defense is terrible. Now it's little less terrible now than it was for most of the season, but it's still terrible.
It's bad.
The Bengals have one decent player now on the defensive line, and one good corner, and that's
the
it.
last couple of weeks they played so much better.
They've played okay. They played okay. They don't make get any pass rush.
They also played some bad teams in that stretch.
No, I know they did. I know.
So listen. So I thought overall it was a terrible performance by Shedeur. I thought it was his worst performance from beginning to end. But I do like that he was. I agree with you on that last drive. He didn't pass. Like when they were going on the announcers, and I like the announcers, by the way. I like that team.
McCarthy's great.
Really good.
Yeah.
And I like Logan Ryan. I thought he was good,
He
too.
filled in for Jimmy some on the radio.
Yeah,
once when
I
Jimmy
like
was
him
sick.
a
He does
lot.
great
I think
job.
they're an underrated team. I do think he did a great job of keeping his composure in that situation. They were on the broadcast like, I'm surprised they're not calling a timeout. He was very on top of it there, unlike in the first half where both Shedeur and Stefanski both take blame on this, where they had to delay a game.
Oh,
That's inexcusable. Inexcusable
I
for
was
that.
flipping out for that.
So,
They mostly said that was on Shedeur. But I think
but ultimately the coach has got to be the backup.
You have to play it.
He could
You have
just
to play
look.
it.
He could look at
And
the
you know
clock and be
what?
like, you know
Time
what?
out.
You can't let that happen.
No, can't.
You can't let that happen. So overall, the game was just a really bad performance, and the defense saved the day.
Can I ask you a
If it's not
question?
for the turnovers, there's never a situation for him to win the game. Probably.
No, you're right.
again.
They're not. No.
But I do think he made some nice plays on that drive, and I'm giving credit for that. I would have had him in an F, and I moved him up to a D+.
Okay,
So
that's fair.
I
Well,
moved
we're
him
all
up
close
because
then.
of
I'm
that
C
drive.
minus,
And
C
there's
minus,
no
D
other
plus.
drive in the game that I'm going to move him up almost a full grade.
I mean, the last 8 quarters, they have one touchdown drive.
Right.
That's not good.
There's no way, realistically, that you could be sure that Shedeur Sanders
you're
is
not.
the guy.
But here's what I am sure of. He gets a seat at the table.
I agree. I agree. Now, Jason's someone who thinks they just need to completely move on or whatever, and I get it, and there's reasons why they will maybe consider that. I have seen enough of Shedeur Sanders that I'm interested in potentially seeing more if he competes with whoever he competes with and wins the job. This idea that they just shouldn't take a quarterback no matter what, that's silly.
No.
That's silly. That's unrealistic.
I know we got to go to Super Chats. I want to ask both you guys a question because I have said this from early on in his playing with the Browns. I noticed a difference in him, in the offense and productivity when they run with tempo. It's the same thing I see when I watch the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers against the Ravens were doing nothing all night long, and then right before the half, boom, 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 right down the field. Now, they mismanaged that whole situation, and they got 0 points, so fine. But late in the game, they get 2 touchdown drives. Why? Aaron Rodgers never went into a huddle. When they're running with tempo, he just is the maestro.
Right.
And
you can't do that the whole game.
No, you can't do that the whole game. But what you can do, and not the whole game, but what you can do is you can still go with purpose.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times the Browns, this nonsense huddle up, too often the play clock gets to 3 seconds. That's not tempo. Shedeur Sanders is his best when there's urgency and he's running with tempo. I think there's got to be a way to speed things up offensively, not this slow drag out 30 seconds between snaps. No, get up there and go.
I want to see what these guys look like in a real playbook. And I'm talking
with real playmakers.
Yeah, we gotta get some
Imagine
playmakers.
if Puka Nacua was on this team right now. Just like, let's go nuts.
I just want to see what it looks like with a different philosophy, and to see if these, because I do think literally the quarterbacks in our playbook were limited, and you notice people playing a certain way.
I cut them a little slack because it's limited because you have limited playmakers.
There it is. That's it.
You have limited quarterback play. You haven't had good quarterback play.
So therefore, your offense is going to look pretty pedestrian.
It's a lot of things that go into it.
But here's what we do know. If Judkins comes back, and it's expected he'll be back in early March or April, whatever, it's expected he'll be ready for the season for sure. If we think that we've got a hit in Judkins and we think we've got a hit in Fannin, and I believe the general consensus here is we do. If you now sprinkle in a little bit more from the playmaker side, get an offensive line, it's easier to make the offense look great when you got great players.
But that's going to be nearly impossible to do in 1 year.
It's a big ask, Bull.
Yes.
It's a big ask. Yeah. I think you've got to duplicate the class you had this year.
But you got to do it at more premium positions.
Yeah, and it's harder to do it at those
positions he has only failed at.
Wide receiver and offensive line, he doesn't have a hit.
He's got to get a wide receiver, at least one wide receiver, and at least 2 offensive linemen. Now, by the time you get deeper in the draft, I'm not expecting them to be stars, but
contributors.
You got to take a wide receiver and an offensive lineman in theory early, and then take another offensive, maybe two other
The
offensive
kid from
linemen.
Miami, I think, is rated 5 or 6. The
Francis
offensive lineman.
Blaga.
I don't know that they're going to get, the
and
top
he just
wide
had a
receiver.
really good game against Ohio State.
Let me
too.
ask quickly. I know we got to get to Super Chats. Last
Yeah.
question, then we'll go. You've got the 6th pick,
Yeah.
and Tate is there, and the offensive linemen from Miami are there. Who are you taking? Which one do you place a higher priority on?
You're saying they're equal. We're going to assume they're going to be equally good in the
Yes,
NFL?
yes.
I would take Tate.
I would too. I would too.
Tyvis said something.
Because I see what Puka Nacua does for that Rams.
Tyvis said there's less, and I agree, there's less tackle and guard talent, premium talent at
Right.
those positions, and there is a better depth group at wide receiver.
Yeah.
But the Browns need a stud.
We do. And
Well,
Mr.
if that's true, then
Operation
if
Stockpile.
that's true,
they do.
there's more depth at wide receiver and not offensive line. If that's true, you're going to have your pick of offensive linemen at 6.
Yes, you would.
That's true.
So take the offensive lineman there,
and
and then fall back to the second round, second pick in the first round, where there's more depth. If you think you can get a quality wide receiver there,
but
you get one there.
wherever you get first, better be good. Now,
I'm gonna say
today,
this.
They blow that
Today.
pick. It's
Today.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, it can't. And that pick can't be like Mason Graham. How we think he's going to be good, and we've seen it.
He gotta be.
This guy's got to come in, and we have to look at. If you take an offensive lineman in the top 10,
He better be.
You better not think about that position for 10 years.
That's right.
And we didn't do that when we took Wills. That never
And
happened.
most
with
of the
us.
high drafted wide receivers make huge impact right away.
They do.
That are good. The ones that are studs. Go ahead, Mike.
According to Dane Brugler, it is not a great draft for receivers or offensive line, which is not panning out great for
Not
the
great.
But we'll find out. The analysts aren't always right. Jason, by the way, didn't disappear. He left at 12 to go Andrew Berry's press conference.
Yeah.
People asking.
Has he
you guys-
said anything, by the way?
I've been in the show. I can't listen to both at the same time.
I haven't
so-
been following the.
We'll discuss what he said, but Jason, we didn't kill him off. He just literally left.
Yeah.
to go
Advanced
talk to Andrew
nerd
Berry.
speak.
All right, let's get to Super Chats real quick. Audrey Garland says, I knew the head coach would be fired when he drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, knowing he should have gotten an offensive line to protect the quarterback.
I think it's funny that Andrew Berry is getting credit for the hits in the draft, but Dylan Gabriel is Kevin Stefanski's fault.
Well,
There's no facts that back that up.
I do think he got to take. You know, he got to own a little piece of that too. Like we ain't gonna give him a pass on none of that. You know what I'm saying?
He's got to take as much of a hit as he does the win on the. He's the drafter.
But I think we agree that Dylan was Kevin's guy.
I don't agree with that. I don't know. He might have liked him, but if you guys decided that all of a sudden Andrew Berry has this power because the boogeyman's gone, but he didn't have the power in the 3rd round, come on, that's crazy.
Well, I'm not deciding that.
Okay.
I'm saying that you absolutely, if Kevin or if Andrew was given the reins this year, he owns the successes,
Yes.
and he owns the failures.
Yes, 100%.
Well, you can't have it.
Yes.
It can't be both ways.
You can't say Dylan Gabriel Stefanski's fault. Everything else is on Andrew Berry. That's not fair.
No,
No,
you
that's
can't
not
do
fair.
that. You can't do
That's
that.
not fair.
All right, the next one comes from Carlton Childs, who says the OC decision is more important than the head coach. Denver and the Patriots aren't just great because of quarterbacks and head
That's
coach. They're great
ridiculous.
because of their offensive systems.
No, the head coach has more impact. I agree with this. You can't get the OC wrong. I mean, if you get the wrong OC and the right head coach, you can still suck.
I see what you're saying.
You're not going to be good without the right head coach.
I see what you're saying. Once they get their head coach, I think we will all put a very bright flashlight on.
Yeah,
coordinators.
obviously it's important, but the head coach and the quarterback are way more important
Correct
than
me
the
if
play
I'm wrong, guys. Didn't Mike McCarthy lose the OC job in Dallas? Didn't he didn't when he took the job, he was the OC, and then Jerry said, no, you're going to have to bring in an OC.
Yeah,
And they brought in Kellen Moore.
You did.
Yeah, so I don't.
Okay, can I?
Next.
Go ahead.
We got to
Go ahead.
We're going to only get to like 3 of these. But Neil Gray says Jimmy Haslam unconditionally supports Andrew Berry, and that says it all, Jason. The owner is focused on this roster, draft class, and future draft picks in 26. The midseason trade of Malik Collins, you're stuck on the Deshaun trade. They signed Malik Collins. They didn't trade for him.
Yes.
Tyson Campbell.
And furthermore, you can't just not remember the Deshaun Watson thing that happened.
Yeah. Next one comes from Mesh of Baltimore, who says the thing is it's already set. God already laying out the red carpet for 12. AB got the keys, and 12 is his guy. What makes you think they would be drafting a quarterback when they got Deshaun to back up Shedeur next year?
They are drafting a quarterback. I'll be stunned if they don't. I'm not saying early, but they're going to bring another body into camp.
JBH Hoops says, been a Browns fan since 2018. Stumbled across this platform this year. Love watching you guys. You made the season fun.
Thank you.
Don
Appreciate it.
Peasy Wheezy says, it's ironic that the panel believes the Giants' job is the best, while the Giants have possibly the worst remaining GM of them all. Paid Daniel Jones, let Saquon go. Bad draft picks, but Berry's bad.
Well, wait, Mike, you're the expert on the Giants.
He is terrible.
Joe Shane sucks, and I cannot believe he still has a job.
Well, is he going to stay?
Yeah, they
yeah,
decided.
they're-
They said
Oh,
he was
wow,
gonna
okay,
stay.
that's a
I am
mistake.
vehemently against
Well,
them.
that's a miss.
Mike keeps saying that word like he's not sure if he's saying it
Yeah,
right.
it's
he says it all the
vehemently.
time, and he says
You don't
it
have to use
slightly
the H.
wrong.
Vehemently against.
Mike, I agree with you. I'm vehemently against that move, too.
Yeah.
That general manager, if a general manager should go, it's him.
Yeah,
He's been
no, he's bad.
100%. He's terrible too. Yeah.
Melomania,
But not as bad as Andrew Berry.
Melomania Curation says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I'm convinced a lot of Browns fans would choose getting excited at QB highlights on YouTube over wins. # losing mentality.
That's silly.
And one more real quick. Soup Loop says Andrew Berry just said the Browns will be working this offseason to find the right quarterback when asked about the quarterback.
By the way, make sure you catch us up. Ultimate Browns. Me and Earl will be going live. Breaking news. Yes.
Peace.